Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Collegiate iRacing League and our Flexware College Cup Series, where tonight many of our drivers will be taking the first step towards a possible championship here in the Flexware College Cup Series. It's our cutoff race from Bristol Motor Speedway, our Bucky's Bristol Bash 200 presented by East Tennessee State University, where we have plenty of drivers coming into tonight's race, but only 10 will advance to have a shot at CIL glory. Welcome to tonight's show, the Ignition Zone pre-race show. I'm your host, Zach Lindler, alongside Alex Gagnon in the booth. And this is going to be, I think, one of the most entertaining races we have seen this season. There's so much on the line. You have six potential spots, or yes, you have 6 spots left for drivers to make their way into the playoffs. You have, all of these, you have, I believe it's 8 different drivers who have the ability to point their way in, with so many other drivers that if they wind up winning, they're in. You have that on top of the chaos of Bristol, the slick concrete surface with the world's fastest half mile, as it self-proclaims. And Bristol always creates just a chaotic race for our drivers. So the pressure of the playoffs literally right around the corner, on top of it being Bristol week, it's going to create a phenomenal atmosphere and an even better race for us to watch tonight.
Yeah, I mean, in a vacuum, Bristol already is going to be a chaotic one. There's not a lot of real estate, and there's only really 2 ways to get around this track, and they're never both good at the same time. So you're going to have a lot of cars trying to push each other out of the way to get to that optimal lane. And with how quick this track comes up on you, you don't really have time to try and maneuver and try out different things. You have a lot of laps, but you need to internalize that laps ahead of time before you go and try something. Because of how quick these laps go by, it'll be sub 15 seconds most likely for a lot of this race. So, just as you come off the corner, if you want to try and change something or change your line to the next corner, you've got maybe a couple seconds to react with what's happening around you, and then you're right back into it. And they're going to be at it for 200 laps tonight. It's going to be a doozy, that's for sure. And then you throw on the pressure of the playoffs, and just adds a whole nother element to it, with a lot of drivers with so many different scenarios on how they can clinch. Obviously, the big one is win and you're in, but there's a lot of drivers who have a point situation at the moment where, depending on how they finish and those around them finish, could either find themselves in or out going into the playoffs next week.
Yeah, Clint Halterman right now currently 32 points to the good. He is the driver in the best position to point his way into the playoffs. He currently sits 5th in the standings. Charles Wembley just behind him, 28 points to the good. And then you have some of the drivers who really need to put some work in tonight to try and point their way in. Jason Wallet plus 20 to the cutoff. Zach DeWale plus 17. Andrew Stagey plus 15. And Ryan Whitlock has a 10-point lead over his teammate Andrew Williams for that 10th and final transfer spot into the playoffs. Williams 10 points behind Ryan Whitlock, but don't count out Brandon Schulenberger either in 12th position. He's 17 points away from getting into the playoffs. So really any of these drivers from Wallet down to Schulenberger, 7th through 12th in the standings, can point their way into the playoffs tonight. But like you said, Alex, the best way to do it is to win. But that has certainly been a tall order this season with Matthew Morton and Ball State's dominance of this sport. Matthew Morton, 4 wins to his name. He's currently at the top of the playoff standings. And then Muhammad Alif and Daniel Nanny, 2 Ball State drivers, both at 2 wins apiece, as well as Jake Cummings, who won the season opener for Wingate. It's really been hard, as we've seen, to win a race this season in the Flexware College Cup Series, because the top 5 or 6 are just so good. They're so set apart from the rest of the field in these races. But Matthew Morton is just on another level right now.
Yeah, you mentioned the fact that there's been 4 winners, but there's only been 3 winners since the opening race of the season. Jake Cummings won the season opener at Auto Club, and he's been the only driver not representing Ohio State or Ball State to find victory lane this season. Matt Morton is on a warpath trying to take home the College Cup or the Flexware Cup Series championship. And, you've got 2 really strong contenders from Ball State when it comes to Daniel Nanny and Muhammad Alif. All 3 of those guys locked in, have been for the past few weeks. We've seen great battles between all 3 of those cars up at the front of the field for months now. So they don't really have a ton of pressure coming into tonight. Not only are they locked in, but Morton, with those 2 extra wins, is basically locked up the first seed of the playoffs as far as playoff points are concerned. So their goal tonight is just kind of go out there, race each other, maybe pick up another win, get a few extra points out there. But a lot of the pressure and a lot of the focus tonight is going to be those guys just behind them trying to all fill in those positions to round out our playoff grid.
And not only are we making the cut to the top 10 tonight for the playoffs, we're also crowning a regular season champion. And right now, the 2 drivers that are really in position to win that are Matthew Morton and Muhammad Alif at the top of the chart. Now, Matthew Morton has a 10-point advantage over Alif coming into tonight's race. So Alif will need to beat Morton by 11 positions to secure that regular season championship and an additional 15 playoff points going into the playoffs next week. Also in the hunt, Clint Halterman, who's 18 points off of the lead at the moment, and Charles Wembley, who's 22 points off the lead. So those, even just winning the regular season championship, that's 15 playoff points. And when Matthew Morton has the most in the field right now with 28, that's a lot of points. And that can pretty much almost lock you in to the championship 4 on points alone.
Yeah, and you mentioned those 4 names. The first 2 are locked in, but Halterman as well as Charles Wembley not locked in yet. So if they find a way to, outperform Morton and Alif tonight, if they take home that regular season championship, not only do they get a huge boost, but those 15 extra playoff points make them one of the favorites probably through the opening round of the playoffs.
Well, all eyes right now are on that playoff grid coming into tonight's race. Let's go ahead and talk to the man that's on the hot seat from Alabama Huntsville, Ryan Whitlock in the number 81 car. You are the cutoff driver coming into tonight's race. You've got teammates ahead, teammates behind who are trying to beat you to get into the playoffs. What's the mood coming into tonight's race at Bristol when you know that you're the last driver in at the moment?
The mood and the feeling is that there's a job that needs to get done. There's not really any other way to say it. I just know who I need to beat and who I can't get beat by, and that's about it.
So you come into tonight's race on that cut line. What is going to be the approach this evening? Are you going to try and be a little more aggressive to win your way in, or are you just going to try and get as many points as you can and keep an eye on those around you?
Um, Frankly, I think we've seen such a demonstration in driving talent from like the top 3 guys every race that winning my way in, unless something crazy happens, it is Bristol. Something crazy could happen. I'm not trying to win my way in. I knew after a couple good results in mid-season that I had a really good shot of pointing my way in, genuinely, and that is still the objective. Just avoid chaos. A solid top 10 finish is really about all I need, and then I'm in.
And momentum has certainly been on your side this season, really ever since Daytona, when you had that wild finish at the line. Momentum certainly on your side that you can carry into Bristol. You've also got teammates on your side, a few that you're racing for those positions in the playoffs. Thinking to Andrew Williams, who's 10 points behind you coming into tonight's race. And you've also got teammates that you would like to beat, with Zach DeWale 7 points ahead of you. So do you think strength is going to come in numbers tonight, or do you think it's going to be more of a race of luck?
I think it's definitely going to be a race of luck. I think strength and numbers might have made more sense if this were like a Daytona or a Talladega. I just think, those guys, they'll race me clean and they'll race me hard. But that's not really anything new. I know I can trust myself around them despite what's on the line. So I think the approach as far as friends and teammates go doesn't change. It's just, the people who aren't friends or aren't teammates, I just got to race them clean and stay out of any big wrecks that could potentially happen.
One last question I have for you off the top of my head here is, let's say this race starts coming down toward the end of it, 20, 30 laps, let's say 20 laps to go. Caution comes out. People start thinking about coming down pit road. You going to be the fresh tires or the track position kind of guy?
I've never been one to shy away from 2, but I genuinely can't answer that question. And I'm not saying that just to be secretive. It's just, we'll see how the race goes. Like, we'll just have to find out. So, I mean, like I said, I've never been one to shy away from 2, but we'll just see. I might have no tires by then. Who knows?
If it was anything like the Bristol that we saw from the NASCAR Cup Series this
Gosh.
weekend, that very much might be the case.
Yeah, I mean, at that race, the left sides were fine. So who knows? Yeah.
Well, Ryan, we wish you the best of luck out there. Sounds like you've got a game plan. You know what you got to do, and you're going to go do exactly that. So best of luck out there, and hopefully we'll be talking to you after the show.
I hope so. Thanks, guys.
That was one of our gladiators entering the Coliseum tonight, Ryan Whitlock from Alabama Huntsville. Currently 10 points to the good, but he is the last driver in the top 10 coming into tonight's race. And it sounds like he's got a game plan for exactly, you heard him say exactly what he needs to do. I know who I need to beat, and I know who can't beat me. I'm just going to race everybody clean.
And, the racing everybody clean, I appreciate the sentiment, but also when it comes to Bristol, sometimes tempers get the better of people, and, sometimes the best laid plans and intentions go out the window when it comes down to the final couple laps. And, maybe some guy's been bouncing off of you in the corner each of the past several laps. At some point, you just say enough is enough. We've seen it at Bristol more than once. It's possible we could see it here tonight with the playoff berths on the line. Ideally, clean race. Realistically, it's Bristol. Who's to say?
It's Bristol, baby. It's chaos out there on track. So, yeah, you said it yourself. Saying that you're going to race cleanly is one thing. Actually racing clean and not getting caught up in someone else's incident is a completely separate ordeal. But before we take a quick break and get into tonight's action, we're going to go ahead and make our picks for who we think is going to win tonight's race. And Alex, I'm going to defer to you and let you have first stab at who you want.
See, so this is a tough one because we haven't even seen qualifying yet. So I'm going to go based strictly off of the vibes that I'm getting coming into tonight with drivers who need a good run, drivers who I think will put in a good run. And with Bristol, you always get that little bit of a wild card factor. So I'm going to go out there, and I think that tonight's winner, the 37 of Charles Wembley. Guilford College, wow. I think, with a really surprising upset. I think they go out there. I think they get it done. He's run really well all season. And no time like the present to go out there and get a statement victory. and potentially, if things fall right, take home the regular season championship in surprising fashion.
Yeah, that's a really strong pick from out there in left field.
I try to keep them interesting, you know.
You gotta keep it fresh. Yeah, gotta believe. I'm gonna go with Drew Williams from Clemson University. I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I hope he doesn't prove me wrong this time. But I think that first Cup win in the next gen is coming for Williams. He's got a really strong car. He's been able to put together phenomenal races, but just always seems to lose it in the last couple laps. And he's practically married to the second step on the podium at this point. But I think with just the right amount of chaos tonight, he's going to be able to survive the wrecks. He's going to be able to get the job done. He's going to secure that win, that first win that he's been chasing in these next gen cars in the FlexWare Cup Series. But he's also going to pick up possibly one of the most important wins of his career to lock himself into the playoffs from the outside looking in.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a hot take for you. Not only do I think he's not going to win, I don't think the 23 is going to make the postseason.
Really? So you're calling your shot to the end of the race. All right.
I think this feels like a race where weird things are going to happen. And when weird things happen, there's a better chance than not that Brandon Schulenberger will capitalize. And I think we could see 2 Wingate Bulldogs in the playoff 10. He's just a couple points back. And I've seen a lot of times, especially in critical races, the 23 has bad luck surround him. I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm just saying sometimes things happen out of his control. And something tells me in the gut today that could be something we see again. I don't wish it upon him in the slightest, but that's just what I'm feeling.
And I was just about to say, don't sleep on that number 7 car, because Schulenberger has been incredibly strong this season. And I think you're right. I'm gonna piggyback on that one with you. I think the 7 makes it into the playoffs tonight. I don't know how. I don't know how he's gonna do it. But like you said, for every unlucky driver you've got a lucky one. And I think Schulenberger gets the job done tonight, and he's going to lock himself into the last 10. Well, our predictions are here. You've heard it from us. The script has been leaked. Don't tell anyone I said that. But we're going to take a quick break, and then we are going to go racing at Bristol right afterwards. So stay tuned. Don't miss a thing. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with our live race coverage.
Racing isn't easy.
Bristol Motor Speedway, a legendary track that goes by many names. The world's fastest half mile. Thunder Valley, the last great Coliseum. A Coliseum indeed, as Bristol tonight serves a proving ground where only the worthy will triumph. 30 have entered, 10 will leave as playoff drivers, and 1 will triumph as regular season champion. 4 of our gladiators enter knowing their fate. Matthew Morton, R. Muhammad Alif, Daniel Nanny, and Jake Cummings have already locked themselves into the playoffs by virtue of a win. As for the 6 remaining playoff spots, they're up for grabs tonight. At a track where chaos can strike at any point, Clint Halterman, Charles Wembley, Jason Wallet, Zach DeWale, Andrew Stagey, and Ryan Whitlock will need to have their wits about them to maintain their current top 10 status. But for every driver that's in, there's a driver that's out. Andrew Williams, a series titan and former champion, currently stands on the outside looking in. Brandon Schulenberger, in his breakout season for Wingate, would love nothing more than to keep his momentum going and his championship hopes alive. 8 eligible drivers enter, but only 6 can move on. Our gladiators will test their steel, bravery, and wit over 200 laps in the Coliseum. 30 have entered, but only 1 will leave as the winner. Who will tame the rest of the field, and who will fall prey to the concrete high banks of Bristol? Welcome everybody, welcome all to Bucky's Bristol Bash 200 presented by East Tennessee State University. As we're your hosts for tonight's event, Zach Lindler alongside Alex Gagnon in the booth, and we're going to take you trackside for flag-to-flag coverage of tonight's regular season championship race. And after tonight's race, we're going to cut to our top 10 playoff drivers. I think I speak on behalf of everybody in the booth here at the CIL and all of you out in CIL Nation when I say that I am so excited for tonight's race. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line tonight, and there's not many better places to try and settle a score and settle a regular season, quite like Bristol Motor Speedway. So much can go wrong, so little can go right, and only those who are truly worthy of moving on to the playoffs will do so here tonight, in my opinion. This track really has a tendency to weed out those who do not deserve the opportunity to move on. These guys have done it on road courses, on those intermediates, even some early, like other smaller tracks, but nothing is going to test them quite like this track is here tonight. High speeds, no room for error, no room to really move around on the track. You just keep going until either you get some free real estate, have to move somebody out of the way, or something breaks and you end up in that outside retaining wall. A lot can happen here tonight, and they're going to have 200 laps to settle this regular season. In the 10th season here of the Flexware College Cup Series, first year under that name, but the 10th season of this series. The opportunity to be one of the 10 moving on to win this championship is at large here tonight, as you so eloquently put there in the opening, Zach. And I think you're dead on the money. I think there's a lot to be excited about here tonight, and can't wait.
Yeah, 45 different drivers have competed in the Flexware College Cup Series this season, but there are only 10 that are going to move on to the playoffs. And like we mentioned before, Ohio State's Matthew Morton locked in. Ball State has 2 drivers, Daniel Nanny, our Daytona 250 champ, and R. Muhammad Alif, our road course ringer, both locked in. And Jake Cummings from Wingate University, he won the season opener at Auto Club, but hasn't seen victory lane since, but he is still locked in. So those 4 drivers are going to the playoffs. As for the other 6 spots, we have no clue. Right now, 2 drivers that are really liking their spots are Clint Halterman and Charles Wembley. Halterman is 38 points to the good. Wembley is 27 points to the good at the moment. So they're pretty comfortable with where they're sitting. Now, as for Jason Wallet, 20 points to the good. Zach DeWale plus 17. Andrew Stagey, Ryan Whitlock, who we talked to at the top of the show in the Ignition Zone pre-race show, they maybe have some work to do tonight. We heard Whitlock say, I know who I have to beat, and I know who can't beat me. And one of those drivers that can't beat him is Drew Williams, one of his Orange Wheel Racing teammates from Clemson University, as well as Brandon Schulenberger. At this point, those are the only drivers who have the ability to point their way in. Now, there are still tons of drivers all the way down to 31st in the grid that if they win tonight, they're into the show. And that is going to throw a massive, massive wrench in some of our own playoff calculations.
Yeah, no
as well as the drivers themselves.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line here tonight, but let's take a look at where they're doing battle. You call it the last great Coliseum, and for good reason. This half-mile track here in Tennessee has put on just some phenomenal racing over the years, and we're expecting more of that here tonight. Half-mile, high concrete banks, a lot to love. One of the big tricky parts of this track is the dual pit roads. Pit stalls on both sides of the track that under green, you just have to go to your side of it, but under yellow, you have to go through both, to my understanding. So, slow pit road, too, as well, with only a 30-mile-an-hour pit speed. We saw it back in Season 5 when it's made its debut in early 2022. So it's been around for quite a few years here in the FlexWare College Cup Series, and it gets another go here tonight for the regular season finale.
Yeah, pit road here at Bristol is one of those funky things that it's really going to get on our drivers' nerves, especially if we have green flag pit stops, because to get these cars from about 130 miles an hour in the corners down to that 35-mile-an-hour pit road speed, that's a 3,400-pound car that you're trying to get slowed down, and it is a very, very, very tricky pit road to get onto, as well as leave, because you basically get dumped right back out into the racing line. But even under green, like you said, there's 2 pit roads, and with this track putting down sub 15-second lap times, as well as, you know, when you get in the rhythm on the short track, it's gas, brake, gas, brake, gas, brake. You can get lost really easily.
Yeah, it's really quick, especially with how quick the laps are. Sub 15 seconds when you're going at full speed. You can start losing where you are, both in lap count and location on track in a hurry. So it takes a lot of effort just to know where you are at any given point in time. But so let's take a look at the a qualifying lap here at Bristol. You know, you'd think a track this small would be pretty straightforward, but might be a little bit more complicated than that. Some drivers like running that high line. Some people like diming it off. Some go down low. Let's see what Drew Williams did here in the 23. The first guy on the outside looking in here as he makes his way for his qualifying lap.
Yeah, this is my pick to win tonight's race, Drew Williams. As you can see, he runs about a half a groove off in turns 1 and 2 all the way out to the wall on the backstretch, setting himself up for as wide of an arc as possible through 3 and 4. This is very much a momentum track. You want to keep that car as fast as possible through the turns. But it's also a multi-groove track. You're going to see drivers running pretty much everywhere in the corners, and that's what sets up some phenomenal multi-lap 2, possibly even 3-wide racing. But for qualifying, it's going to be how quickly you can complete those laps, and for Williams, it looks like he set a pretty good lap time right there.
Yeah, it looked pretty smooth, and we'll have the qualifying results here, I believe, in just a second. But that was the qualifying time for Drew Williams, and we saw, you know, he ran about a half lane off the bottom, but during the actual race here, I expect to see a lot of cars moving up toward that outside wall, trying to keep on the throttle as long as possible. We'll also see a few cars, if they find that rare bit of separation here at Bristol, you might see a few cars try and diamond the track off to get that run down the hill into the straightaway. Not always the most advised, but if your car is set up to work that way, it's going to really give you an advantage on the straightaways. So a lot of opportunities to make something happen here. And with how small this track is, maybe not a ton of opportunities to pass inherently, but a lot of opportunities just kind of nudge your neighbor out of the way a little bit, push him up the track, and try and slide on by to take the spot away, especially when you have 200 laps to do so.
Yep, cages will certainly be rattled tonight. But yeah, Bristol is one of those tracks on the schedule that has that progressive banking. It's 26 degrees at the bottom of the corner, and it goes all the way up to about 30 at the top. So even though you're running the longer way around at the top, you're going to have that extra banking to help you out. And like you said, that run down off the banking, about 3.5 stories worth of banking here at Bristol, that's definitely going to help you out down the straightaways.
100%. So let's take a look here at the starting grid for tonight's Bucky's Bristol Bash 200. Daniel Nanny from Ball State puts it up on the pole position there. He's got 2 wins this season, looking to make it 3. Drew Williams to his outside there in row number 1. Row 2, it's my pick there. Charles Wimbley in the 37. Matthew Burton in the 33. Great qualifying effort from the host of tonight's race, the ETSU Buccaneers. Row 3, it's Kelton Quick from Ball State and R. Muhammad Alif, a couple of Cardinals there in the third row. Row 4, you got Matthew Morton with 4 victories this season, and Baruch's Edward Sanchez to his outside. And in row 5, you've got Lucas Moody from Ball State and the 076 of Matt Nordberg from NC State. Zach DeWale rolls off 6th there with the 519, alongside Brandon Schulenberger in the 7 from Wingate. Row 7, it'll be Andrew Stagey of Ball State, Edwin Onofre of North Texas. Just behind them, Jason Wallet fighting for every playoff point he can get here tonight for Drexel. Ben Neller from Ball State there on his outside. Row 9, it's Jake Cummings in the 100 machine. Logan Smith to his outside in row 9. And 19th and 20th, it is Timothy Wilms from Drexel and Nick Stockner from Clemson. And taking a look at the rest of the field here, Michael Sidor from PCT, Ryan Whitlock from Alabama Huntsville in row 11. Row 12 is Ricky Paz from Valpo, Clinton Halterman from UNC Charlotte, Austin DeLong from the Penn College of Technology there in 25th, Sky Schreck from the University of Oklahoma 26th. Andrew Burrell from Clemson in the 121, rolling off 27th, alongside Zachary Tallman from the Penn College of Technology. And in row 15, you've got Dylan Godinez from PCT and Ethan Decatur from Valpo. And rounding out our field tonight, it is the 62 of Landon Velaki. He is rolling off here in 31st and the final position here today. So Daniel Nanny, Drew Williams, Charles Wimbley, and Matt Burton, your top 4 cars here. Nanny with 2 wins. Williams just on the outside looking in, trying to fight his way into the playoffs here. Wimbley's got a good points advantage, but a win would certainly do wonders for his postseason hopes, getting those playoff points that are oh so needed. And Matt Burton for ETSU, they are sponsoring tonight's race, and I tell you what, they are off to a good start here, trying to put together a good run. The 33 in that second row, looking to try and ball out here in his home race. Then you've got those Ball State teammates there just behind them. A couple of Cardinals there looming just behind. 3 of them in the top 6 between Nanny, Quick, and Alif. So lot of Ball State up front, and then you got Matt Morton there in 7th just lingering behind them. So a good mix of race winners and guys looking for their first here tonight.
We are about ready to go racing here at Bristol. Pace car makes the hard left onto pit road. Nanny is the control car. He hits the green flag. Who's going to go racing in the playoffs? We're racing at Bristol.
Daniel Nanny going to hold on to that inside line and take over the lead here. Just getting ahead of Drew Williams as they make their way through 3 and 4. Wimbley and Burton settle into 3rd and 4th as well. The field starting to string out, trying to find where their car is going to handle best. It looks like a lot of takers for that inside groove here in the opening couple laps, as Wimbley now looks to the outside of Williams coming off 4.
I was just about to say, look how conservative these drivers are already. Not a ton of change inside the top 10 in those first couple laps of the race. But already Charles Wimbley has said, I'm not waiting around. I want to go ahead and get to the front, because you never know when that caution is going to come out, as Wimbley is able to pick off that 2nd place position from Williams. I believe we're at the point now where these drivers have got their tires up to temperature. So look for the aggression levels to maybe flare up a little bit, but I think we're still really early on in this race. A lot of these drivers in the field know what's on the line for them, so we're probably not going to see a ton of aggression until the latter stages of this race. I think these drivers are just trying to get to that first green flag pit stop opportunity.
Yeah, so here we go, starting to settle in here. This is a long race. You know, laps are short, but laps are plentiful. As we look a little farther back in the field here, Lucas Moody, Ben Neller fighting it out there. A couple of Ball State teammates trying to settle it for position here on track just inside the top 15. Now Jake Cummings onto the back bumper of that 79. He goes way up the track toward that outside wall. Will try and rally back on the outside, pulling back in toward the 79. But you can already begin to see cars moving up and down the track, figuring out where their car handles best, what they can and cannot do on the racetrack. You've got a lot of laps to try and figure it out, but not a whole lot of time per lap to do so. So every time you go around this track, you got to be trying to learn something, because there's going to be one of your competitors who will be learning every single lap. And if you don't keep up, you are going to fall through this field in a hurry, because there's nowhere to hide.
Nowhere to hide, indeed. You can see just how quickly the laps get ticked off here at Bristol. About 15.5 seconds per lap, as you see Nick Stockner looking underneath the 100 of Jake Cummings. That is a battle for points in the alumni, not only on track in the playoffs, but also for the alumni championship as well. Taking a look at that right now, Clint Halterman is in the lead of that, but this battle between Stockner and Cummings is going to heat up as the first caution comes out. Did it have anything to do with Sky Shrek possibly in that 43 Oklahoma car?
They are starting to get going, and they are currently scored in the 31st and final position. So something tells me that something happened to the 43, although not entirely sure what would have collected the Oklahoma car there. They qualified back into the mid-20s. So this
Austin DeLong's got damage. So this is going to happen between the 43 and the 22 right behind her. See the Shrek went up high, got blocked by the 19, comes back down the track, gets a run or loses momentum, gets a run, does the 22. Maybe this incident happened in turns 1 and 2, but yeah, the 22 sends it deep. And awful net code. Awful net code right there.
That was, they were still probably a good foot apart.
Foot and a half, yeah.
Jeez, that's some brutal net code here, especially because they had started settling into a nice opening stint of this this race, but not to be. I guess iRacing demanded to be more chaos here at Bristol, and the netcode demon strikes in a big way for the 22 and the 43, both of them suffering some pretty heavy damage, and they're going to bring it down pit road here on lap 14.
Yeah, the 22 took a pretty hard lick into the wall in turn 3. We see the front bumper completely off of that car. He might have some suspension damage to fix for that PCT car, but it looks like he's going to go ahead and take some tires on that thing. Shrek electing just to fix the damage on that machine. But yeah, that's an instance of the netcode gods giveth and the netcode gods taketh. And it looks like even though he got the worst of it, Austin DeLong already off of pit road. So maybe not a ton of damage on that Penn College of Technology car.
Well, there seems to be a sizable bit of front-end damage, but if there's any track where you can kind of get away with that, it's going to be Bristol. It's not really an aero-heavy track, you know. As long as you keep hitting your marks and driving it on, pretty consistently and taking care of your car, you're going to be able to get a lot of work done, even with that much damage to the front end of that car. So, you know, this is not an ideal start for the 22, but I don't think it's going to be a deal-breaker.
We mentioned the dual pit roads here at Bristol. Under green, that is the case. Whichever side your pit box is on, you can come down pit road either in turn 2 or turn 4. But under caution, you have to enter the pits in turn 2, and you will leave in turn 1. So pitting under caution means the entire field's going to come down in the same place, and they're going to be stuffed on that tiny, narrow pit road, making their way through the infield. But caution number 1 of the race flying on lap 12 of 200, and we're going to go back to racing on lap number 17. Nanny hits the gas almost immediately after the pace car gets on pit road, and we go back to racing here at Bristol.
Yeah, the 30 didn't have time to wait, I guess. He checked out in a hurry, but here comes Charles Whibley down to the outside, and sideways goes a leaf. They both save it, but get really slowed up. The 26 has to pick up in a big way as well. And now the caution flies for something I'd imagine that happened later on in the field as a repercussion for what happened up front. I mean, what a just a mess up front.
Williams threw an absolutely filthy block on the 12 going into turn 3. That's the kind of racing at Bristol that we're used to here in the Cup Series. But both of those drivers, Williams and Leaf, saving those cars by... I don't know what god they prayed to, but it certainly worked in their favor. But wow, what a save from both of those cars. We are going to take a look again. hopefully at that incident as well as the incident that brought out the caution. So this is coming down the backstretch, focusing on the 124 of Stockner. So you see the field checking up. They see the spinning cars ahead of them. And the 13 of Moody actually making room for his teammate causes a massive pileup, and Stockner's on his lid. My goodness. Have you ever? No, I have never. So we're going to try and ride on board with Nick Stockner here, but yeah, the 12 coming back on track after the after his little incident with Williams. So watch there. You see the car sideways up in front of you. The 13 is going to try and move up the track. Here comes a run from the 100. Actually, it was the 199 of Onofre trying to miss the 12 of Alif. He came up the track, tagged the 13 who was trying to get out of the way for his teammate. And that is a video game moment right there, folks. So I didn't think we would need a flip counter for the Flexware Cup Series at Bristol, but here we are, folks. Flip counter number 1. So caution number 2 of the race comes out on lap 19, and it's Nick Stockner, the gets the short end of the stick there. As you can see, that car is all torn up. That 124 Clemson car already picking up some damage as we're barely even a 10th of the way through tonight's event. But what a wild incident. I think Race Control is going to have a fun time looking at that one. But we are going to keep you updated based off of what we hear. And we have heard something from Race Control. Car 12 has been penalized for an unsafe rejoin. So our Muhammad Alif is going to have to go back to the end of the... He's going to have to restart at the tail end of the longest line on this next restart. And I can see where they're in voice chat probably not happy, any of those Ball State drivers.
Yeah, I can't imagine they would be, but yeah, it's certainly a tough break here, especially for a car that was going to be up front, I think, most of the night here in that 12 car. But he's definitely got the skill to rally his way back up to the front of the field. And he's got a whole lot of teammates to help him out, too. Ball State, by far, has the largest contingency of cars in the field here today. I think they've got like 6 or 7 entries here. So you see our Muhammad Alif there just trying to mentally reset after that one.
And you know he's got to be mad at Williams for that block down the backstretch. It was a great block, but it was really aggressive, I think, for what some of these drivers would expect in the first really not even finished with the opening stint of this race, as we're only 23, about to be 24 laps in. As we look back up towards the front of the field, the drivers have gotten the 1 to go. And here we go back to racing. Nanny's the leader, but already he's got Charles Wembley firing off a turn 2 just underneath him. And look at the restart both of those drivers got. Holy cow.
Yeah, but I'll say both of those cars, the past couple restarts have been just miles ahead of the rest of the field. Nanny goes about the first opportunity he can. Wembley's able to keep with him for the most part, and then the rest of the field is scrambling, trying to rally their way back up to the front of here. It's a half-second lead for these 2 cars over the rest of the group, which at Bristol is easier said than done, but the 37 and the 30 just checking out from Nordberg there in the 076, and then, you know, Burton's kind of in no man's land as well before you get back to Williams in 5th. So a lot of things getting bottled up here from 5th on back. You can see 2 by 2, a good chunk of the field there. You see kind of everyone trying to settle in on the backstretch, and then everyone then fans out going through the corner. You got Ben Neller to the outside of Matt Morton here. Ball State and Ohio State duking it out into turn 1.
You know, these drivers come so that they can race each other. They can do this side-by-side action and be able to race each other at Bristol. But if I'm Williams and I'm Burton and I'm just out there in no man's land, like you said, I'm just ticking off laps at this point. It means I'm not going to get caught up in someone else's wreck. It means if I make a mistake, I'm not going to cause someone else's race to get ruined. I'm completely content right now with just ticking off laps before we really start pushing to the end. But Zach DeWale and Kelton Quick right now going at it. You see Quick a little bit quicker on the high side coming down off that banking like you mentioned at the top of the show. I'm getting boos from producer Christian here.
About to say, that was
Zach
low-hanging
DeWale.
branch.
That's been low hanging fruit that I'm surprised hasn't been taken all season. Sorry, Kelton, you probably heard that about 20 times at least. But Zach DeWale able to walk away with that 6th position for the time being, as Kelton Quick's now going to try to stay away from battle with his teammate Ben Neller, and it's a hornet's nest behind him with Ben Neller, Jason Wallet, and Matthew Morton right now just cracking into the top 10 for the first time tonight. And how about Ricky Paz as well?
Yeah, he's putting together a really solid run up here. The 19 currently scored in 10th place. Looking to maybe get a few more here if we can get up to the back bumper of the 79 and 76. Wallet, though, on the inside. He's had to do a lot of work to get up into the top 10 here tonight. He's one of those guys on the playoff fringe. You know, he's currently in, but not by much. He needed a good run. Didn't qualify too great, but he is starting to make his way up through the front of the field here, trying to take away this 8th position, which would be 1 extra point that he needs in that hunt for the playoffs. Ricky Paz, though, trying to win his way in. You know, currently 10th isn't going to cut it, but he's looking for 9th and 8th here in this 3-car battle here. Ben Neller's got a lot of activity going on behind him.
So most of these drivers that are on the inside looking out coming into tonight's race, they are hoping and praying that there's not a new winner, especially if you're towards the bottom of the top 10 like Stagey and Whitlock and DeWale. But Jason Wallet, if there isn't a new winner tonight and he finishes the race, then he's at a very good position to make the playoffs. However, if there is a new winner, Wallet will have to finish 11th or better to be able to secure his way in.
Yeah, he certainly would. But he's putting together a pretty solid run right now. You see, he's been doing pretty good currently in that top 10 mix as we are jumped up a little farther here. Drew Williams has a mirror full of Matt Burton right now. Here comes the ETSU car to the inside here, that 33, trying to take away that 4th position. Had a good run going into the corner. Couldn't maintain that speed through the center of the corner, though. Will fall back just a little bit as Zach DeWale tries to jump into the scene here as well. Already, I mean, you look at the times here. The top 10 separated by 5 seconds. It's another 3 seconds back to 20th. You know, this is a track where you only run 14, 15, 16-second laps. So starting to get really strung out here. And a couple of cars already starting to get lapped.
Really cool drone shot there from producer Christian as you see this battle heating up. The 33, it's his home race. His school is the one that is sponsored tonight's Bucky's Bristol Bash 200. So he's looking for a great race result tonight. In fact, I don't think we've seen him in the top 5 or even the top 10 very often this season. So it's great to see that East Tennessee State machine having such a phenomenal run so far tonight. As there you see the switchback on Williams, going to go side by side with him into turn 1. Both cars driving their wheels off right now. They both wash up the line, and that's now going to let Zach DeWale in. The door is open for St. Clair College, and he sticks his nose up underneath the 33. They're going to be side by side off the corner. This battle is heating up for this 4th position.
Yeah, here goes Burton now to the outside, trying to hold off Zach DeWale. We saw Burton try to make the pass on Williams to the inside. Didn't work. Now he's trying to run that outside to get a better run than the 519. He is under attack from a lot of places. DeWale tried going up and around the 33. 33, though, is up toward that outside wall. Burton closed the door, and DeWale nearly put it in the fence. And now they're going to navigate some lap traffic as well as that wounded 43 car from Oklahoma of Sky Shrek will run that high line, trying to stay out of the way of this battle, but it's also going to take away that line that Burton was just running to good effect a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, lap traffic coming into play as you see Shrek tag the wall just a little bit down on the front stretch. But that's about 14, anywhere. It's about 20 laps after a green flag. You're going to see drivers at the back of the grid start to get lapped by the leaders. And you see the 1st through 3rd have already cleared Shrek, but that 43 putting up a fight against the 33 and the 519, although she is doing the right thing by giving them right of way. Contact between the 33 and the 123. Williams and Matthew Burton going at it for position right now. That's the kind of racing at Bristol we like to see. Little door banging, paint trading action here on the high concrete banks as the 33 is still on the back bumper of Williams.
You know, I've been listening into some of the team audio here, just trying to get what's going through the mind of some of these drivers right now. One of the big consensus things that I've been hearing from a lot of drivers It is nearly impossible to complete a pass on the bottom right now with the way the cars are currently set up. They just don't have that drive through the center and then corner exit that you need to complete it. You can get to the inside like you see the 33 doing here. You just don't have the ability without losing the back end of the car to really punch it and get through on corner exit. And I think that's why we're seeing this side-by-side battle, despite how much shorter of a line the 33 is taking there. So much less track you need to cover. Not being able to fully put the throttle down on corner exits really hurting the 33 here and letting Williams hang up just in front of him. But this 2x2 or the 2-wide action between these two cars is also completely bottling up Zach DeWale. He's got nowhere to go unless he plans on pushing one of these guys through. He's been sitting right in the mirror of Williams for the past several laps, but has gained nothing other than a mirror full of Kelton Quick and Matt Morton now.
I was just about to say this 3-car battle for the 4th position has turned into a 5-car battle now, as the 33 and the 123 still side by side after so many laps. That has slowed this pack down to now Matthew Morton and Kelton Quick have caught up to this pack. Matthew Morton taking away the 7th position that lap, that time by, as we have just passed the quarter-way mark through tonight's Bucky's Bristol Bash 200 presented by ETSU eSports.
Yeah, Matt Morton now fully into this to make it a 2x2. Oh, and the caution is out. The caution is out here on lap 57. Looks like a couple of cars going around the pace car, trying to figure out who would have fell down the timing table. Still struggling to see. It might be the 86 of Timothy Wilms, but that is remaining to be seen. There also looks to be some front-end damage potentially on the 124.
I think that might be residual damage from that the flip that he had earlier in the race. What's with the 13 towards the back of the grid?
A lot of questions. We're looking for that replay right now. When we have it, we'll take a closer look to see what brought out the caution. 3rd caution of the day here on lap 59. They got into a pretty good rhythm there, but now about 60 laps into this race, I got to imagine anyone who didn't pit initially will be coming down pit road now. As we take a look to see what happened to bring out this caution, you see Ryan Whitlock in the 81 there behind Lucas Moody and Michael Sidor in the 15 to the inside.
Talked to Ryan at the top of the show. He said his goal was to just minimize mistakes. He actually shoved the 15 out of the, or excuse me, the 13 out of the way right there. Wow, what an aggressive move from the 81. I don't think that's what brought out the caution, though.
The 31, I think, bounced off of someone deeper in the field. What I don't know is if that was the caution there. So you see, this is a little farther on back, Cummings, Halterman, and Stockner. And coming around the next time by is when we're going to see that car get pushed out of the way.
Oh, it is the
Cummings
13.
Goes around. Jake Cummings.
The 13 got slowed. Yeah, the 13 got slowed down because of that that shunt from the 81, and the 100 car of Jake Cummings just with nowhere to go. He gets sent to the inside wall, as well as that. I believe that was the. I can see the 199 also involved there. Edwin Onofre, the 124 of Stockner, and yeah, I mean, man, just nowhere for him to go.
And then with
Bam.
Halterman right to his
Halterman
inside,
also there.
It was sideways. I mean, there was no way to collect that one. Jake Cummings can at least take solace in the fact that his Winded Auto Club has locked him in, because Bristol so far has not treated that Wingate car too kindly.
Not at all. And yeah, you're right. That's exactly what I was thinking, is that is a guy right there who is praying and thanking God for that win at Auto Club. So that really the result tonight doesn't matter. He is already locked in the playoffs. But Clint Halterman really trying to put together something good as well. With 30, don't count me on this, but with 31 cars in the field, and with Clint Halterman being, by my count, coming into this race 32 points to the good, I believe that Clint Halterman has secured his locked-in place into the College Cup Series playoffs, because he can't finish worse than 31st, So by virtue of there being not enough cars in the field tonight to knock him out, Clint Halterman and UNC Charlotte will be going to the FlexWare College Cup Series playoffs this season.
Yeah, there might be some mathematical scenario where it doesn't, because it is a bigger than a 32-point gap between winning and 31st. It's like 33 or 34 points, but mathematically it'd be almost next to impossible with the amount of other cars who would still need to get points in some capacity. I think he's a pretty safe bet to say he's locked in, at least in the 99.99% sort of way.
Yeah, he would need a lot of things to go wrong for him tonight. But here's a driver who needs some things to go right for him. Zach DeWale riding on board with him in more ways than one for St. Clair College. DeWale he was 17 points to the good coming in tonight, and he is racing a ton of drivers around him that also have a potential shot and a point their way in. So he's looking for every position, every point that he can get out there on track. And the biggest one is going to be that 123 car just in front of him of Drew Williams. Williams on the outside looking in, only 17 points behind DeWale. As the caution immediately comes out after that restart. So we're going to re-rack him and try it once again.
Someone's down on the apron here on the inside.
Ooh,
Dylan Godinez. Not sure what happened to the Penn College of Technology machine there, but he was down on the apron facing the wrong way. Typically, you only get there if you have a little bit of help. But...
Ooh.
Well, we definitely know the 808 was involved. It's a matter of where it started.
Oh gosh, who did he collect?
It looked like that was a multi-parter. We'll have to see if we can find from the beginning what happened here. So there's the 808 on the inside. Timothy Wilms running up high. The 808 gets loose, just loses it. Contact with Logan Smith, actually, in the 34. The 808 ends up in the wall, and then who comes in late here? It's the 43.
Sky Shrek, nowhere to go for that car once again.
Was thinking that with the banking being 28 degrees, the 808 was going to roll down, and I think the 808 was just trying to lock it down to stay in one place so everyone could go around. And that misinterpretation of what everyone thought was going to happen led to more damage for both of those cars. The 43, as we know, caught up in that lap 12 incident, and now taking some more damage here, and definitely not helping the cause to Dylan Godinez either. As you see the front end of the 43 just completely sheared off.
And interesting that car went straight into the wall too. So I'm wondering if maybe Shrek having a steering issue right there. But I think the 808 of Godinez did the right thing. He stopped, he held the brakes, he became a predictable target, which is really the expectation of our drivers here in the Cup Series. But Shrek unfortunately anticipated wrong, and nowhere to go for that car.
It's been a tough day for the 43 amongst several. Last time we looked at the timing table, you still had about 25 cars or so on the lead lap. Most cars still on track here, but several of them pretty beaten up. We saw the 22, the 124, the 43, the 808. Several cars now starting to register some pretty massive damage, but one thing I do want to mention is you see the 808 take the wave around here. Daniel Danny has led just about every lap of this race so far, but Charles Wimbley has not let him get away. He's just been kind of lurking directly behind the 30 all evening to this point, never really outside of that 3/10 bracket from behind the 30. It's been the only one so far to really keep pace with him, so I'm curious to see if this is something that is by design or simply that is the way they're matching up so far, or if there's some bigger plan in store here for the 37. We know the 30's been really, really good on restarts. And I think a lot of this ensuing restart will hinge upon the third place car, Matt Nordberg, there in the 076. Past couple times, the 30's gotten a great launch. The 076 has not. He'll need to get a good launch here if he wants to make this a 3-car battle for the lead.
Yeah, these two up front have really just been in a league of their own on these restarts. They've been able to get away from the rest of the field, put a couple of a tenths gap between themselves and third place. But man, Matt Nordberg, another good run for him tonight. Probably one of the I dare to say unluckiest drivers in the field this season. He's been putting together phenomenal runs pretty much all season long, but just always seems to get caught up in someone else's mess. in the race. But running in third right now with his destiny in his own hands, I think he's in a really good spot to walk away with a top 5, maybe even a top 10 in tonight's race. So good for him out front, as well as the 33 of Burton for reasons we mentioned earlier. Good to see him running well in his home race too.
Yeah, no doubt about that. He's been having a really solid run so far, and I was wondering if he was going to be able to maintain that pace because he qualified so well, but the 33, not typically a car you see in the top 5 this season, so was wondering if it was just going to be a one-off kind of deal or if it was going to be something deeper. So apparently something has extended the caution here. Let's see if we can find what happened. We continue to debate. It looked like they tried going green for a second, and then they immediately put the yellow back out as they try to get this sorted.
I think it was possibly some. I think it was possibly some confusion in position towards the back of the field, where some drivers were gridded wrong, where they shouldn't have been, and I think race control decided to throw another yellow. Or sorry, we had gone green. It was a very, very short green flag run, and the caution immediately came out. So we're going to see what happened here. Oh, come on. Commentators curse, folks. Chalk that one out. Oh, my gosh, he kept it off the wall. That is insane. Matthew Nordberg, how did you do that?
Tough break for the 076. More or less just got shoved out of the way by the 123 of Williams, but able to lock it down and make sure there was no extra contact to the car. But, he comes off of the corner here. He goes into the front stretch and more or less just gets shoved down into the apron. Or maybe it's on the back stretch here.
Matt Nordberg, another one of those orange wheel. Yeah, doink. He just gets turned by Williams, one of his orange wheel racing teammates. But wow, what great hands from Nordberg to keep that car off the wall. That is phenomenal. And of course, it was right when I had just started talking about how good of a run he was having tonight. I'm sorry, Matt.
Also right after you mentioned how he's one of the unluckiest drivers in the series. You certainly didn't help him at all by immediately jinxing him
Matt.
Afterwards. So the 076 has a lot of work to do to get back up to the front, but we know he's got a fast car. He was in the top 5 basically all race to that point, so I have no doubt he'll be able to fight his way back to the front here with enough time, especially with some cars that are in front of him who have definitely had a little bit of damage. You can see the 81 there has been dinged up a little bit. He's trying to fight for every point he can out here, so I'm sure he's happy to be ahead of Nordberg, at least in the interim. One more point going toward his playoff hopes as they run.
And car number 123 has received the strike and end-of-line penalty as the cause of caution for that incident. He is also being cautioned by race control for aggressive driving.
Yeah, he more or less drove through a teammate of his by alliance, not necessarily another Clemson car, but another car where they tend to align and work on stuff together. But it looks like we are going to be going green in just a moment here, so while we got a second, this is the race analysis. The 4 sets of tires and 4 green-white checkered attempts are the things to note here. That long fuel window, too, as well. A lot of it just comes down to how well your tires hold up. So that is some just extra notes to keep in mind here for today's race. Is the pace car about to peel off, I believe, here to get this going again.
Yep, Daniel Naney, the control car, once again. He's going to hit the gas, bring Charles Wembley with him, and we are back to racing here at Bristol.
Wembley now looking to the inside. He kept looking to the outside the first couple times. Took a
the 33's of the wall.
Contact between Burton and the 519 of DeWale. Both of them keep it going forward, but that was a scary moment there for the Buccaneers car. He's going to settle into third place now, but he has got a very fast and probably not too happy 519 behind him. Can't imagine Burton's very happy as well, as DeWale nearly drove through him here on the restart.
Yeah, I think the 33 moved up and tried to throw a block on the 519, but Burton got turned into the wall when DeWale decided to not lift. But fortunately, both of those cars kept it straight, and they're able to keep going as the caution comes out once again. Cautions breed cautions, folks.
We had only 3 in the opening 59 laps, and I think we've had 3 in the past 8.
Oh,
Wow, look at that pace
Dave,
car.
the pace
drifting
car
through
driver.
turn
Holy.
4. Well, he had places to be, didn't he?
Somebody in chat clip that. Go, Dave.
He wanted to show him how to really get through the corners here at Bristol as he goes and not only drives through the field, but power drifts it through the corner. He'll leave some rubber on the track for the rest of these guys to deal with as this race goes on. But this is
the
what
only
the
time
caution was. We're going to take a look a little farther back. Just a tough bit of contact there.
Schulenberger. Oh,
Schulenberger
no.
and the 2 of Kelton Quick. It looked like they were trying. It looked like Schulenberger was trying to go all the way up to the outside wall. Kelton Quick was just a little off the wall. The 2 met in the middle, and that was a vulnerable place for both of them to be. And the 7 was the car that ultimately lost out.
That was a pretty decent lick to the inside wall, but at least he hit it square on, so hopefully no suspension damage for that number 7 car. I know he's a car that Schulenberger has had a phenomenal second half of his season here in the Flexware Cup Series, and he has a shot to point his way into the playoffs. But both him and Williams on the outside looking in coming into tonight's race, they've had some unlucky mistakes that have unfortunately moved them towards the back of the field. As you see, Schulenberger going to bring that car down pit road and get that Bulldogs machine fixed up. Yeah,
and that's a really tough situation for him. I mean, this is a car that was on the outside looking in. Needs every point that he can get to try and make the postseason here. As you see the 123 on pit road as well. And, that kind of damage maybe won't be critical, but will mar him back into the field. And we are 84 laps complete here, so not as much time as you would have had if this happened back on lap 12 or 20 or so. A little more high-pressure situation now for the 7. That window to try and get those points necessary to make the postseason. Little narrower. Big break, though, for the 123 as the car that was directly behind him now falls back deeper into the field. As we'll take a look here with the 81 of Ryan Whitlock, a car who was the cut line coming into tonight. And he has had a very interesting evening. He hasn't really been able to drive through a ton of cars from where he qualified, but a lot of action keeps happening around that 81 machine.
Yeah, we talked to Whitlock at the top of the show during our Ignition Zone pre-race show before tonight's event, and he had a very, very clear-cut plan coming into tonight's race. He said, "I know who to beat. I know who can't beat me, and I'm just going to try and keep it clean for these 200 laps." And I think he's done a relatively good job of that so far. He got caught up in one incident, not under his own regard, but in proper Bristol fashion of being at the wrong place at the wrong time. But Whitlock on a slow charge up through the field at the moment. So good to see that. Good to see him working with 2 of his OWR teammates right there in Matt Nordberg and Andrew Burrell just underneath him. But the same front row is going to get us going once again. It's Nanny and Wembley for probably the 7th time here as we wrap up caution number 7 of tonight's event. We're back to green flag racing. There you see Burton and DeWale still going at it side by side, although DeWale takes that position with force. The 33 really not able to get rolling on this restart.
Yeah, it's Jason Wallet now on the scene as well. He's to the outside of the 33. Going to try and make that high side work. It's been the preferred line to pass here tonight once tires are up to temp. Looks like the 76, if he's able to hold on to that spot, will be able to get the pass done here coming off of turn 2. Jason Wallet now in the 4th. That's a driver who's looking for his first win of the season. A win from him would be huge. Lock him in, get him a few extra playoff points. Would be a big boost to Drexel's chances here in the postseason if he can snag a couple more positions. He's had to really drive it tonight, the 76. He started way back in the field and has slowly but surely worked his way forward and now finds himself on the cusp of the podium here as he's tracking down the back bumper of Zach DeWale.
Working on lap 91, now 92 of tonight's Bucky's Bristol Bash 200 presented by that car right there, ETSU eSports. Matthew Burton in his home race, currently running in the 5th position. He is on track to get a top 5 One thing to mention is that none of our drivers have come down, or at least none of our lead drivers have come down pit road for tires and fuel. We saw in our race analysis that they can last up to about 120 to 150 laps. So these drivers won't be able to make it on their grid tires and fuel. So we will see pit stops at some point, although later on in the race. But one thing to note, or excuse me, I guess everybody has come down pit road once. I'm not sure when that happened.
It was, I believe, the lap 59 caution. So it was about 35 laps ago when we took an extended look at that replay, trying to track down what happened on that caution, because there was several parts of it. But it looked like several of the leaders snuck down pit road during that caution, but haven't come down since. And with that fuel window, they would probably be able to make it to the end on fuel, especially with the string of cautions that we had there a moment ago. The bigger question really is going to boil down to if the tires will last that long. As you see, the 37 of Charles Wimbley is going to look to the inside of Nanny, or the outside of Nanny, but gets caught behind Jake Cummings. That 100 car off the pace, just trying to run some more laps, maybe steal a couple extra positions later in this race, but that'll cut down the momentum the 37 had there on the outside, but he's right back to that middle groove. Going to try and track down Daniel Nanny. The 30 car has really not been challenged for the lead all night. He's had the 37 hovering in his mirror, but Wimbley's never really been close enough to really make a play for the lead. It's really going to come down to how these cars begin to navigate lap traffic as they catch the 43 in corner entry. The 30 and the 37 going to go under to avoid the 43. Wimbley right there now on the outside through 1 and 2, trying to get that run off. Keeps getting within a car length, but just can't seem to break that barrier to get any closer.
And these lap times that are if you've got two drivers, one runs the bottom, one runs the top, their lap times are going to be pretty dang close. These cars are very, very equally matched depending on where they run on track. As you see there, Nanny and Wimbley going at it for really the entire race. But Nanny right now has just a little bit of an advantage on that bottom side. I think Wimbley has elected to run the top just to try and get that clean air on his nose. You can see him almost diamonding the corner, coming back down the track to the middle groove on exit. And actually, both of these drivers are off the pace at the moment compared to that 519 of Zach DeWale. Somebody's lit a match under his seat because he is on his way up to the front of the field, and it doesn't look like anybody's going to stop him at this point.
Yes, Zach DeWale running about a couple hundredths to a tenth faster than the leaders right now. Each lap, it fluctuates just a little bit, but he's closed in on the back bumper of the 37. One of the few times that Wimbley's really been challenged here tonight. Now he'll run the outside. DeWale looks down low. We know it's really tough to pass on the inside here at Bristol. DeWale not going to be able to get that one to work. He'll slide back in behind the 37 here. And this battle starting to let Daniel Nanny slip away just a little bit more. As now the 519 really lunges in, and the caution is out once again here at Bristol on lap 106. Jake Cummings and Edwin Onofre sideways on the apron.
Well, that one was easy to find.
It helped that we drove right on past him there, the 100 and the 199. Tough situation for both of those drivers. They were down in the wall. Looks like heavy damage there for the UNT machine. Not sure how the caution began, but we definitely know both of those cars were in it, and in it big time.
As we take a look at what brought out caution number 8 on the evening. You see, it was actually a little virtual 3 wide, the 86 and the 100 making contact, collecting the 199, the 077 of Clint Halterman involved, and it looks like an additional pileup might have happened a little further on, with some drivers really struggling to get their cars slowed down in time when they approached the incident site.
With 86 of Timothy Wilms. That Drexel, and the 100 was slow through the corner. The 86 couldn't lift with the cars behind him. So just kind of drove through the 100, and then it started really bottling up a lot of other cars behind them. That was quite the chain reaction of things going on there.
And that's just the kind of chaos that breaks out at Bristol. And it looks like everybody is going to come down pit road. They're making the long journey down the back stretch and now finally into their front stretch pits. We're going to keep an eye on this battle off of pit road. Can Daniel Nanny be challenged off of pit road? It looks like The right side's going on for these drivers. Is anybody going to take 2 tires? Doesn't look like it. 4 tires for all of our drivers that have come down pit road. You see some of the stragglers towards the end coming out, and actually Zach DeWale gets a big stop right there, and Charles Wembley is going to win the race off of pit road. Problems for the number 30 car of Daniel Nanny. He is still in his pit box.
Something has happened here for the 30. He still hasn't left his pit box yet. I wonder if it was something to do with a penalty that maybe has to be served or what. But, I mean, at this point, the entire field has rolled off of pit road, and the 30 still remains there.
And now he finally rolls off. He just barely avoids going a lap down. But Daniel Nanny, severe problems on pit road with his stop, as he is going to roll off last on the grid. So he will drop to the tail end for this pit stop. I wonder if maybe he had a speeding penalty that he had to serve. Oh, it was a restart infraction we're hearing from producer Christian. So Nanny, I guess, lucky that that caution came out, because he had a 30-second hold that he would have to serve within 3 laps of that green flag coming out. So
it does not surprise me that one of those he jumped just a little too early. I mean, he had been going so quick all evening long, and I guess that last time just went just before the actual restart zone opened up. There's not a huge gap between where the pace car peels off and the start of the restart zone here at Bristol, but it is big enough to tell, and the stewards deemed that one to be an illegal start, so he will be penalized for it. Looks like the 123 stayed out, because we saw the 37 was the first car off of pit road. So now Charles Wembley to the outside of Drew Williams. I tell you what, our picks are looking pretty good right now there, Zach.
Yeah, my pick to the inside, your pick to the outside. This is going to be one heck of a race, as we got a little bit more on the line here in the booth than we care to admit. But here we go on the restart. They are going to be neck and neck across the line. What a great restart from Charles Wembley, although I guess he's used to restarting from that second position, as he's going to rocket off of turn 2 and dust Williams. Charles Wembley to the lead for the first time tonight.
Guilford College takes the lead here. Drew Williams now settling in, trying to hold off both the 33 of Matt Burton and the 519 of Zach DeWale. Burton goes around the third on the outside now, looking to take second place away as well. Matt Burton and the ETSU machine is not here to mess around today. He is putting in a really strong effort, currently running in third, looking to take that second spot. What a massive victory it would be for ETSU eSports if Matt Burton could go and win here tonight in the Bucky's Bristol Bash 200 from Bristol. I mean, this is the event that ETSU sponsored, and they are really putting on a show here tonight, not only for everybody watching, but also for anyone here for ETSU eSports who's tuning in to see how this one's playing out. And the caution's out once again. Bristol is it's turning into a little bit of a menace.
Yeah, it's chewing some of these drivers up and spitting them back out. But I was just about to say, as it stands right there, Ryan Whitlock was running in the 12th position. Drew Williams was in second. So he would have won the battle into the playoffs by a countback of finishes. And there you see the 808 with turns to 43. Wow.
Those two cars have been having a couple of bits of contact, not only tonight, but those two cars I feel like find each other a lot just throughout this season. So, you know, Bristol tends to bring out the most in some drivers and the most reactions in some others, and some contact there between the 43 and the 808. It's not their first run-in tonight. We saw when the 808 got turned earlier in the race to 43 with some late contact to them. So just one of those races where neither driver really has any forward momentum going into or coming out of it.
I think we may have some Bristol beef brewing between the 808 and the 43, dare I say.
That is definitely a plausible guess here. But on lap 118, it'll be the first time that Charles Wembley will be restarting on the inside line. That 37 car will be on the inside for the first time all day. And then you'll have Matt Burton restarting on the front row for the first time today. So this will be a very different look on this restart compared to anything we've seen prior with Drew Williams, Zach DeWale in row 2. We got a couple of A couple of CIL veterans in that back row and a couple of guys who have been around a little bit, but not nearly as long in that front row. All of them, though, looking for a win. The first 3 guys all looking for their first next-gen win here in the College Cup Series. Zach DeWale has a couple, but it's been a little while. I'm sure he'd love nothing more than to go back to victory lane and lock himself in once and for all. And big shout-out to Ben Neller there in the 79. He's currently scored in the 5th position, and he's having himself a really solid run for Ball State. Actually, the highest-running Cardinal car on the track at the moment.
Yeah, I believe it was season 7, about a year and a half ago when we last saw Zach DeWale in victory lane. That was his epic title fight with UNC Charlotte's Jared Kaler that went up to the very last lap of the entire season, where he ultimately finished second to Kaler. But Zach DeWale has found some success with St. Clair College in this next-gen car, but hasn't been to victory lane since. That shows you just how quickly the competition can evolve here in the Flexware College Cup Series, with the introduction of drivers like Matthew Morton and Charles Wembley, as well as Daniel Nanny in his rookie season. He's got 2 races. He's the Daytona 250 champ, and he's got a playoff spot already. But I can guarantee you there's no drivers that want this win and that playoff spot more than Wembley, Burton, and Williams, your first 3 cars on this restart.
Yeah, this will be a really fascinating restart to see. We've seen that outside line can be really fast if you can stay alongside the leader on the restart. Wembley was able to do it last time, the Williams, and that's how we got the lead. Can Matt Burton in the 33 do so on this ensuing restart? It looks like the 33 actually has a little bit of right side damage. He may have clipped the wall. Oh, it was back from when he tangled with the whale a little bit. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a couple restarts ago.
Yeah, there's been so many at this point, it's tough to keep them all straight, but I'm sure that's not really going to affect the 33 all that much, as the pace car will peel off down pit road. Green flag back in the air, and here we go once again from Bristol, 80 laps to the finish.
How about Muhammad Alif, who got wrecked out very early on in this race? He worked his way back up to that 6th position in that bright red Ball State car.
Yeah, and just behind him, it's a 62 of Landon Velicky, who's having a really solid run himself there for Auburn. They're both of those. There are a couple of interesting names here in the top 10 right now as we're on board with the 12 of Muhammad Alif, who's had to really work his way back up to the front of the field here. And just behind him, here comes Matt Nordberg in the 076, another car that's had to really work his way back through the field. A lot of comers and goers here in the opening 125 laps, and some of those cars who found their way in the back of the field early on now rallying back toward the front here when it matters most.
Yep, we're approaching the 3/4 mark of this race. A huge run for Nordberg is going to look to the side of Alif going into turn 1. Can't get the job to really stick on that bottom lane. That's the story we've been seeing all night. But yeah, approaching the 3/4 mark of tonight's Bucky's Bristol Bash 200 presented by ETSU eSports. We are less than 50 miles in this regular season from crowning our regular season champion, as well as determining who our 10 playoff drivers are going to be. Right now, the regular season championship is in the hands of Matthew Morton. He's got one hand on that trophy, as well as the 15 bonus points available to the regular season champion for the playoffs. Muhammad Alif would have to beat Morton by at least 10 positions in order to secure that title for himself and Ball State. But right now that is going the way of Ohio State and that number 1 car, the reigning champion of Matt Morton. Here's Landon Velicky with a big run on the 12 coming up down the backstretch. They're going to bring Matthew Nordberg with them, as Nordberg's now under fire from the number 1 car, who's really been cycling in and out of the top 10 all night. So maybe Matthew Morton biding his time, not taking any risks. He knows that he's really on paper the favorite going into the playoffs, so no reason to press the issue. But how about Daniel Nanny? Got the EOL a couple cautions ago, and he is already back up inside the top 10. In fact, he's battling with Nordberg for that 9th position.
Yeah, there he is, that 30 now to the inside of Nordberg, trying to make that pass. Take a big slide for the 30, coming off of 4. He's gotten around Matt Morton. Those two cars combined for 6 wins this season as the 30 really slow off of the corner there. Really dove it in, but didn't get the exit he wanted. Trying to battle here with Matt Morton. Good battling in the back part of the top 10. You've got Alif, Nordberg, Morton, and Nanny. 3 of these guys have a combined 8 wins in 9 races this season, and Matt Nordberg's had a wicked fast car so far today, but just trying to get back into the front. But, you know, if you want to get that first win, these are the kind of guys you're going to have to battle and defeat. And right now, he's in the thick of it with basically every race winner we've had this season.
Yeah, this is a massive gaggle of cars that's battling for position. Now Nordberg finally getting the run on Muhammad Alif. He's got the outside line. That's where he's been running all night, and he's going to use it to his advantage as he finally gets around Alif. And now here comes Matthew Morton. Here's 3 of our 4 race winners this season going at it for position. These are drivers that have already locked themselves into the playoffs, but this is your talent this season, folks, going back and forth for position. But up at the front, it's all Charles Wembley right now. He's got a second lead over second place Matthew Burton in East Tennessee State.
Yeah, he's running pretty good right now as you look on board here. Landon Velicky and Matt Nordberg battling 6th and 7th. Drew Williams trying to hold all these guys back, running in the 5th spot right now. But it's been a really good run for the 62 here today for Auburn. His teammate Logan Smith also in the top 10. A couple of Auburn Tigers here cracking the top 10. Not too often we get to see them running up in that front group, so it's cool to see for both of these guys as they're in a mix with all of the race winners here. Drew Williams, I don't know if he slid up or got moved up the track there by Matt Morton, but out of nowhere, that number 1 car has turned on the jets, and now with 60 laps to go, he is on his march to the front. It's the highest he's run all day.
And here we go. Look at those 2 Auburn cars working together. It's a tiger train here between Clemson and Auburn. Those cars nose to tail down the front stretch. And now Smith going to go around the outside of Williams, and he's going to bring Landon Velicky with him, his teammate. And now here's Williams and Nordberg. Now these 2 got into it earlier in the race. I don't think Nordberg was very happy at Williams. So will Nordberg possibly put the bumper to his teammate and get around him as Nordberg gets a big slide out of turn 4? I don't see him on the screen. So if I had a nickel for every time I commentators cursed Matt Nordberg this season, I'd be a rich man.
Season, how about tonight? You've already got 2.
That's twice. Yeah, that's twice now, but often, what a save.
It's weird that it's happened twice.
It's weird that it's happened twice. Yeah, what a save there again from the 076, because that thing was sideways coming out of turn 2 as he's battling with his teammate Nick Stockner. I don't believe, or yes, Stockner is back on the lead lap after flipping that car earlier this race. But this battle up in front is heating up. Now, Ryan Whitlock and Drew Williams. Whitlock was in the transfer spot coming into tonight's race. Williams was in 11th on the outside looking in. So if you're Drew Williams right now and you see the 81 of Whitlock in your rearview mirror, that is not a good sign for you, because you have to beat the 81 by at least 10 positions to be able to point your way in.
The only good thing that Williams has got in mind right now is at least he's still ahead of the 81 as opposed to behind. That'll provide a bit of reassurance, but he needs to be able to beat him by more than just that. As you see the 076 go around, putting a spot in between the 2. One more point in favor of Drew Williams there, who still has a lot of work to do in the closing 50-some laps if he's going to try and overtake Whitlock for that final position in the playoff standings. Whitlock has had a really rough start to this race, but has now slowly started to rally his way back toward the front late in this going. He was marred back around 20th a lot of the first half of this race, but he now is running up just outside the top 10. It's about as good as that car has run all evening. As now he looks to the outside of Drew Williams here, trying to follow the 076 on through. And if Whitlock gets around the 123, it's going to become real desperation mode here for Clemson trying to get those positions.
Yeah, not looking good for my pick tonight right now, as he's going to lose out on a few more positions. Actually, Landon Velicky with a really poor run out of turn 2 right there. He's going to lose a position to the 81 and actually get caught up behind. I think that's the 79 of Ben Neller. So this battle has opened up.
Really shuffling around here as this run continues. Less than 50 laps to go here from Bristol. I mean, look at this hornet's nest going on
three wide.
outside the
My
three wide
gosh.
going into turn one. Andrew Stagey will back out just a hair. 62 in, the
How
2 in the
did they
wall.
make that
Now
work?
Stagey looks inside of Veliky, pause to the inside of the 62 as well. The 79 almost up into the outside wall. Everyone starting to feel the tire effects here late in this race. Everyone washing up the track. Now Kelton Quick diving to the inside. It is this spotters must be going crazy on top of the stand right now, trying to keep everybody safe and in one piece. This is the battle just outside the top 10, and it is ferocious.
Yeah, this is the Bristol I think everybody who's watching tonight wanted to see. There's the 13 of Lucas Moody. He thought about making it 3 wide coming out of turn 2. He had a huge run on the 62 and the 79 in front. There you see it again. Man, that 79 of Neller is just not getting good runs off the corner. That's stacking up that top line. He really could be walking away with a few positions. And we're 4 wide off the corner there for a second. And the 2 and the 62 with the smart move to back out, but they both lose a few positions, as that was really, really sketchy for a few seconds. But the big winner out of all of that is Brandon Schulenberger, who passed all of those cars in that corner.
Absolutely wild stuff. Also, in the middle of all of this, here's Charles Wimbley, the race leader, trying to navigate a hornet's nest of lap traffic right now. And that is letting Zach DeWale and Matt Burton start to close this gap back in. He's going to be on the inside of 3 wide here. The leader, Charles Wimbley, inside of 3 wide. A little bit of contact with the middle car there in Veliky. Wimbley somehow will traverse all of that, get around the 79 of Ben Neller. Good luck to DeWale and Morton trying to sort their way through this mess in a couple seconds. I mean, there is just so many cars running side by side just behind him. Oh, he's turned. Stockner into the outside wall.
On the wall.
Veliky involved as well.
Caution's out. And Halterman is involved as well.
Daniel Nanny just barely missed that one. His run has gotten him all the way back up to 5th, mind you. But he almost got collected there. He was able to avoid it. But, I mean, that was some great... I don't think I've ever seen 4 wide at Bristol.
Oh goodness.
My goodness. What happened there?
That was a unsafe rejoin by Stockner. I don't think he saw the 79 of Neller at the bottom, but he collects the 79 and some heavy, heavy damage for both of those cars after the wreck.
I mean, I'm just still trying to think about that battling that was going on. It was just crazy stuff. You see Stockner go to the inside.
Wait a minute. He makes contact with the 70. Oh, baby. Oh, it's Bristol. We got beef. He made contact with the 79 in the corner, gets turned by the 62. That settled that. This contact with the 79 sent Stockner into, I guess, a little tizzy there, a little off kilter, and then Veliky finishing the job and Stockner waiting for the 79 to come back around. Oh boy, race control is gonna have fun with this one.
And by fun, I mean they are not gonna be. Yeah, that's.
Come on, man.
It is Bristol, but you can't be doing that, especially because the 79 has been having such a strong run today. He was really fading back fast in that last little bit of that stint. I think the tires burned off on that 79 car, but just tempers flare at Bristol. But yeah, race control, much to your point, they're going to have a long look at that one, I have no doubt.
And that is exactly what Bristol produces. These drivers are leaving everything out on track. That's just short track racing, you know.
So they're coming down pit road here for what would likely be the final pit stop of today's race. See Logan Smith, Nick Stockner, Jake Cummins all rolling around back to the other side. Wimbley out on track here, same as DeWale. Danny is on track with Burton. So I think the leaders have come off of pit road if they did pit at all. A lot of cars deeper in the field, trying to get a little bit of extra tire here for the end of this race.
I think tonight's Bucky's Bristol Bash 200 presented by ETSU eSports and 165 laps. I think we have had everything a Bristol race can possibly offer. We've had phenomenal 2, even 3 wide racing battles for multiple laps. We've had lead changes. We've had battles up and down the field. We've had the big one. We've had drivers getting a little up in arms at each other too. So this has been a proper Bristol race and a great way to end the season.
Yeah, it's been a thrilling race, and there's still a long way to go if you are Charles Wembley or Matt Morton. I mean, there's still plenty of action here. Matt Morton stayed out and has inherited the race lead. 35 laps to go. It'll be 34 at the stripe. Morton and Wembley, DeWale and Nanny, Burton and Alif. May not be the order they started in, but a lot of the cars who qualified up front have found their way back up front, or the cars that have won races this year have found their way back up front here. But I cannot get over how strong of a run the 33 has had here tonight for ETSU. He's been putting on an absolute show and is still very much in the hunt as the pace car peels off.
And Morton gets the jump on the restart, and he turns himself on the nose of 37. Oh, my goodness. Matthew Morton goes around before they even get to the start-finish line. I think he thought he got a better jump than he did, but he cuts across the nose of Charles Wembley, and just like that, it's a first-to-worst speed run for Ohio State and Matt Morton. My goodness.
Yeah, we're going to have to take a look at that replay. We saw the 37 get a little loose on the restart, but it looked like he was able to recover, and the one, I'm not sure what the thought process was there, unless the 37 came down. We might have to look at an overhead view to see who came toward who, because either the one tried clearing himself off the nose of the 37, or the 37 got so loose that he came down on top of the one. We'll try and take a look from the sky cam here.
So the 37 was right there on his quarter panel.
It looked like the may have started as a little bit of net code, but then they just stayed together. But as they kept accelerating with that contact, eventually the contact was at that rear corner. And that's all she wrote for the one. But yeah, let's take a closer look here. I mean, yeah, you see the 37 get a little loose. And as he tries to get going, yeah, the one right there as well, it didn't look like he was really trying to push down on the track. It looked like the one maybe was trying to come up a little bit, although speculation is a commentator's worst friend. You never want to really do it unless you're positive, but whatever happened there, not only was it a little weird, but it happened in front of literally everyone. It's a miracle that no one else made contact with the one.
That's what I was about to say is great drive and reflexes from everybody else to miss the number one car, and I think we've got some confusion here as to where drivers are starting.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the 26 is up to here. He's on
not really sure either.
A lane of his own.
Oh, he's trying to slot in front of the 519. Oh, wow. Okay.
So we'll have another go at it here. Morton and Wembley once again. Restart, take two. This time they get away cleanly. Morton now going to try and get into the corner and slide up in front of the 37. Wembley, though, really whips that middle line. He's right there, almost a little bit of contact between the two. And here we go. The gloves are off. Here comes Edward Sanchez bouncing off the 37.
Wow.
Baruch College in the second place.
What a move from Sanchez to take away that second position. He got nudged out of the way by the 37 of Wembley, the two banging doors, but Sanchez ultimately able to take that position away as the caution comes out once again. As caution number 10 of the evening.
Whoa.
And
Zach
that's Zach Tallman junked.
The 71 had been on pit road for a while tonight. He was having some issues. I don't know if he was having that much damage, though. That car seems pretty cooked.
He's having some problems getting that thing spun around, maybe some steering damage.
Oh, definitely
on that 71 PCT
damage.
car. Yeah, look at that right front. It's not straight at all.
Yeah.
And there he gets the car towed to pit road. Look at that sharing brain cells again.
We do it a lot. We've talked at each other for several years now.
It was a PCT sandwich over here.
Tallman, the long side door, all Penn College technology cars, and they make their way off the corner here.
So that's Sidor ahead of DeLong on the bottom and Tallman on the top.
Oh,
it was actually Godinez.
No, that's
Godinez got
it's
dumped.
Whitlock. It's Whitlock.
Or sorry, that's Whitlock. Yeah, so Ryan Whitlock involved in an incident. He collects the 71. As a result, the 71 slides back up the track, collects even more. That's Ben Neller. Logan Smith also involved there. That was Andrew Burrell caught in that too.
79's had a rough couple minutes, but Ryan Whitlock getting involved in that wreck so late in this race is going to be a massive bit of implications for the playoff points here, because he was starting to really rally that 81 back up to the front. He's right behind the 7 of Schulenberger, who needs a good run to try and have any chance of making the playoffs here. In contact with Logan Smith, going off of turn 4. Oh, man.
Tallman nowhere to go. Comes down, collects the 100. Contact there, and then he'll slide back up the track and collect a few more cars. But yeah, dare I say, playoff implications here as the 81 goes around. And I know there's one driver who's definitely not very peeved to see that, and that's going to be the 123 of Williams, as well as the 7 of Schulenberger as well, because that's going to send Whitlock to the back of the pack.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there with the playoff points. And I'm honestly, there's so many things that have just changed with this situation. I'm not going to try and get into all of them.
Golly.
The big one that changes, though, is it provides a much more realistic way on points for the 7 and the 123 to make their way into the playoffs here, as the 81 is going to get dropped well down the order.
And as of right now, both of them are in.
Ryan Whitlock, 1 lap down in 22nd. There's several other cars a lap down. He might be able to get a few of those positions back, but easier said than done here with 25 laps to go from Bristol. They're going to start getting lined up here, getting ready for the restart. It'll be Matthew Morton in the 1 and the 26 of Edward Sanchez up front. Daniel Nanny and Charles Wembley, that second row, and Jason Wallet, Zach DeWale, that third row. So couple of cars we've seen lead a lot of laps tonight, not up in the lead. Matt Morton and Edward Sanchez, who's really come onto the scene late here, had a pretty decent qualifying effort, but hadn't been in the top 10 most of the day, but has a chance right here.
Here we go on the restart. Matthew Morton out to the front of this pack. 24 laps remaining in tonight's race. We've only got 12 and a half miles until we crown a regular season champion and find out who our 10 FlexWare College Cup Series playoff drivers will be. Riding on board now with Edward Sanchez, riding in that second position in battle with Charles Wembley right now. He's going to try and take the lead away from Matthew Morton. Can't quite get the job done there. Sanchez looking for his first win in the FlexWare College Cup Series, as well as Charles Wembley.
He's looking to the inside here of Morton. Not going to be able to get it done that time by, but going to hang in the picture. 21 laps to go. Next time they hit the stripe, Charles Wembley trying to find his way around the 26. So we're looking off the rear bumper cam. You see how close that 37's getting. It'll be 20 laps to go next time by. 10 miles left in the CIL College Cup Series regular season.
As you see out of the back of that 26 Baruch College car, and now he's looking to the inside of Matt Morton. This is the first time that we've really seen a challenge for the lead all race. As the two make contact, the 26 loose. He smacks the inside wall, goes sideways. He's off the racing line, and the caution comes out. Everybody misses him.
The 26 was going for it. He knew that was his only way he was going to try and make the postseason, was getting a win. Look to the inside of Morton. That little bit of door-to-door contact worked earlier on Wembley to move him out of the way for second. Will not work this time around to go for first. So he will
gracious even in defeat.
Drops the heart there, blowing kisses to the fans. Still has work to do. I mean, he's not out of this thing yet, but that track position will be gone. And now you look at the top 4 cars here. Matt Morton has the most wins this season and has rallied late to take the lead. Charles Wembley has been either first, second, or third all evening. Daniel Nanny dominated the start of this race until he fell back with that end-of-line penalty. Has worked his way back up into contention. And then you've got the 76 of Jason Wallet and the 519 of Zach DeWale there. 2 cars who are in on points tentatively, but a win would lock them in for sure. Oh man, there's just so many different threads to try and look at here, and there's just not enough time. Only 17 laps to go here.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how long we have left in this race. It's going to feel like a sprint to the finish, but you see Morton, he slammed the door on the 26 as he was coming up the track to wash out of the corner. No harm. I mean, no foul play by any driver there. I think that's just a battle for the lead that you're going to see here at Bristol with the 26 running out of real estate. The one lucky to get away relatively unscathed from that incident because it looked like he took a pretty good shot to the left-hand side. But, oh my goodness. Was that Schulenberger that just barely missed the 26 coming back on track? That's where I thought it was going to get scary.
Yeah, it could have ended his chances at a run for the playoffs immediately there if he made contact with him, but stays clear, stays clean, and his hopes will live on for a few more laps here before we get the final verdict on the math.
There's going to be, I believe, 13 laps to go when we restart. We do have one CIL overtime finish for a green-white checkered. So we have up to 17 laps remaining of green flag racing in this race until we decide who is our regular season champion, who is our winner, and who's going to go racing in the Season 10 Flexware College Cup Series playoffs. There is too much happening in the grid right now for us to give you a live points look, but we can tell you the cutoff drivers coming into tonight's race. Zach DeWale, 7 points above the line. Andrew Stagey, 5 points above the line. Ryan Whitlock, the last driver in the top 10 coming into tonight's race. And on the outside looking in, it's Drew Williams, who needs 10 points above Whitlock to make his way in. Brandon Schulenberger, 17 points outside of the top 10 coming into tonight's race. So this is going to be really, really tight after all of this is said and done. We're going to try to get you that information as quickly as we can find it after tonight's race. We're going to have our interviews post-race, our final grid report, and then we will be announcing our top 10 playoff drivers who will be racing for the Flexware College Cup Series title. We know 4 of them already, but who's going to be the rest of the 6, and where is Matt Morton? The 37 is in the lead on this restart. Wembley hits the gas. He's back on top as we've got 14 laps of racing to settle tonight's win. As we're going to try and figure out what happened to the number 1 of Matthew Morton. And he actually got the blame for that last incident. Race control deemed that he moved down off the corner and hit the 26. I'm reading it. I'm reading the message from race control. Lap 181, car number 1, avoidable contact, moving down, exiting the corner. So Morton has been sent to the rear.
I thought the 26 more or less dove it in, but all right, if that's the way race control sees it, then Wembley and Nanny they were the cars 1-2, granted in opposite order for the first 70-some laps of this race until the 30 got that end-of-line penalty. But he's worked his way back to second. Charles Wembley sitting in the catbird seat right now. He's in good shape. With it'll be only a couple laps to go when they go green. We'll try and take a look here to see what brought out the caution just a moment ago. It was just after the restart.
And so this is on the restart. We saw the 13 down on pit road, so I think this might involve him as well as his teammate just behind him, Andrew Stagey. But yeah. That's kind of the same incident that we've been seeing all night. Is somebody just misjudges the room available coming out of the corner, and Clint Halterman once again for probably the 3rd or 4th time, as well as Andrew Burrell, caught up in incidents that they really didn't have any control over.
The tough thing with that incident particularly is that if you're Paz's spotter, in that case, like the iRacing spotter, you're going to say you have one to your outside, which was true. What it doesn't mention is that the 13 had one to his outside as well in the 88. So he tries moving up to the middle lane. The 13 has to move up to avoid the 19, and the 88 had such a good run, there was just nowhere to go. That's just a really tough situation with if you had the iRacing spotters. If you had a human spotter, maybe a different story, but so 10 laps to go here, about to be 9. Couple laps till the restart. We're going to have, I think it's the 37 and the 30 restarting up front. The 519 and the 76 row 2. And then a Leaf and Matthew Burton there in row 3. All the time for trying to figure out what you can and can't do is over. It's just a matter about going out and doing it now. We know the 30 car can run in the lead. We know the 37 can run in the lead. Who's going to reach out, who's going to take it, and who's going to hold on to it is going to be the question.
I think it's going to be whoever can survive the onslaught of cautions that we're going to have. We've already had 3 in quick succession, and I think with the playoffs knocking on the door, we're less than 5 miles away from our Swear College Cup Series playoffs. With the field as close as it is towards the cut line, every single position is going to matter for these drivers. This is going to be some of the most aggressive racing we have seen all season, especially at Bristol, a track that promotes aggressive racing. It's a short track. It's elbows out. It's trading paints, bumping doors, banging bumpers. Everything that you can do to try and pass the driver in front of you and to keep the guys behind you behind. It's going to be elbows out, gloves off, maybe even fisticuffs these last few laps. It's going to be 7 to go when they come across the line this time as you get a look up through the field on pole position for this restart. Once again, the 37 of Charles Wembley looking for his first win of the season and his career. He's going to take the green flag. 8 laps to go here at Bristol. Now 7.
Wembley out front by a car length and a half. The 30 trying to maintain pace, and
caution immediately comes out.
Come on, guys.
Golly.
What are we doing here? It's tough to have a race to the finish if things keep happening. Supposedly the one's involved, but it looks like he's still in 13th here. It doesn't look like he fell down the timing table at all. Everyone gets checked up behind the pace car, and the 15 of Michael Sidor now on pit road.
So once again, towards the back of the middle back of the grid. So Morton is to his inside. He's got the 34 Smith behind.
Oh.
Morton turns the 2, and the 2 collects the 15, who collects Smith. Austin DeLong involved as well. And the 15, oh baby, we got another flip. Flip count number 2 tonight, something I didn't think we needed, but the 15 winds up on his lid at Bristol. So we're going to go ahead and ride on board with him.
This whole situation is that the one's only back in the field from the end of line between him and the 26, which was, I would dare say, an interesting call. And now because of it, that's very clearly the one sticking his nose in there where there really wasn't a ton of space as the 2 was moving up the track a little bit, and calamity behind him. I mean, that's just, what an insane turn of events here over the past, 10, 15 laps maybe?
Looks like that 3,400-pound cup car just rolled up the wall on those hot Goodyear tires and just sent the car over. But yeah, this is very, very dangerous territory for Matt Morton right now, as he is almost certainly going to get the second strike at fault for the night. That will result in his disqualification. But we are waiting on that confirmation from race control, as we are going to go CIL overtime. Or no, we're going to get a green-white checkered. A standard green-white checkered finish. This will not be overtime, I believe, as the drivers are going to grid this time by.
Yeah, so it'll be just a classic green-white checkered, and then if something goes wrong here before the white flag, they'll give it one more attempt. But Wembley has shown on the past couple restarts he can make that inside line work and get away, just like the 30 was doing earlier in this race. Did Daniel Nanny glean anything from the way Wembley restarted on the outside against him earlier that can try and pull him even in these couple of laps? It's all going to come down to the restart. Even with 2 laps, you're talking about a mile of racing. You don't have time to try and reel him in if you miss it. You have to hit this restart.
And that last incident has been deemed a racing incident, so Matthew Morton is safe from disqualification.
Wow. So they deem
He
that
needs
a racing incident, but the other one, okay. You know what? I'll just keep that thought to myself.
It's race control's call, not ours.
That is true. I would have flipped the two in my personal opinion, but neither here nor there. That's why they don't have me in the stewarding booth, because I would almost certainly get it wrong.
Yep, they're the ones making the calls, not us. We trust them to make the right calls. Maybe they had some different angle that we didn't. But Matthew Morton surviving that one, as we are going to have a battle of survival here as Charles Wembley hits the gas. It's going to be a 2-lap shootout for the win. We still have one overtime attempt if the leader does not take the white flag. Charles Wembley out to the lead at the moment. Daniel Nanny just behind him, although it's Zach DeWale, Jason Wallet, and Muhammad Alif battling for this second position. White flag is in the air at Bristol. This race is official. Next flag ends the race. Charles Wembley out in front. It's a 10th and a half behind the Daniel Nanny, but it looks like it's going to go the way of Charles Wembley, who's going to come out of turns 3 and 4, and he will win here at Bristol.
Just bare the 30 took a proper lunge at it there through 3 and 4, nearly got alongside, but Guilford College picks up its first victory in the Flexware College Cup Series. Charles Wembley delivers the win, locks himself in the final race of the season. He was looking pretty good on points, but he will officially lock himself in with that victory and will be one of the 10 drivers making his way to the playoffs here. He had such a strong run all day, and when it mattered most, was able to hold on for the victory.
So now's where the fun begins. Our bean counters behind the scenes are going to start tallying these points, and we are going to get you our playoff drivers as well as our regular season champion as quickly as we can. Matthew Morton was down in the field later in the race. Muhammad Alif battling for that that third position at the end. Alif might have done just enough to secure the regular season championship over Matt Morton.
What a race here from Bristol. Drivers now starting to get out of their car, and it'll be just a moment here before we get to the regular season champion, as well as our interviews for our podium finishers here. Honestly, with the way the race was ending, I'm shocked they were able to get through the natural green-white checkered without having to go to overtime. It just felt like the cautions were starting to stack up there, but got a couple of good, clean ones there at the end.
Yeah, it was a nice sprint to the finish. Charles Wembley, just absolutely textbook, got the jump on the restart, and that really was the race for him. Nanny had a great lunge coming out of turn 4 that hopefully we'll be taking a look at that again, that last lap battle. But yeah, it looked like Nanny was completely out of it until Charles Wembley, or until he got that run out of turn 4. Maybe if he had a couple more laps, he could have taken the win. But ultimately, it is going to be Charles Wembley from Guilford College. Finally breaks out onto the first step of the podium. He's winner number 5 this season, and he's locked himself into the playoffs at the dying breath. Charles, congratulations on your maiden College Cup Series win.
Man, I wish I had words to express it. It's better than I expected, First esports win in school history, capping off a great regular season. Man, I came close at Charlotte, came close at Phoenix. And this series has been on my mind all summer, all semester, and to finally get this done, I can't thank everyone that's helped me get to this point enough. So many emotions right now, racing against all these great drivers that have all challenged me in all different ways, and wow, I wish it hasn't even set in yet. I'm just beyond grateful right now.
I mean, you had the work for it today, no doubt about it, but obviously we can hear the emotion coming through from your end. Talk us through those last couple of restarts. Once you got the inside line for the restarts and you could control when everyone launched, did you feel confident that that was going to be the deciding factor, or did you think more was going to happen there for you to hold on for the win?
I mean, the entire race, I think it was clear. It was gonna be down to me or Danny, and he was amazing all race. And um, I in the beginning of the race, I just kept thinking if I can control the start, I think that something special can happen. And obviously, like I said last week, I studied very hard, tried to research and tried to learn how to work on restarts because that is a key factor in why I lost last week. And like I said, you learn more in a loss than you ever do in a win, and I took that to heart, and I tried practicing and learning and studying restarts, and I think that was a very key factor today. So it's great when work and progress finally goes to show, and it's I think a key factor was position standing. So it it's just amazing the transformation from last week to now.
I also just want to float out there real quick. In the pre-show here on the Ignition Zone, Zach and I were talking about who our
Oh
picks were
no.
for tonight, on who we thought who was going to pick up the victory here
Oh
tonight,
no.
and I picked you. I really thought I've seen the work you've been putting in this season. I really thought tonight was your night, and by God, you went out and did it. So I want to congratulate you on that, but I also want to just sneak in a quick pat on the back for myself for beating Zach in the predictions here tonight and who was going to win. But dude, you wheeled the heck out of that thing. You earned it, no doubt about it. I mean, that was a phenomenal drive.
Thank you. I mean, I heard my parents sent me the link in the beginning, and it was actually somewhat motivation to try to prove you right. So I'm glad that in the previous shows I would hear my name not be called, and I'm like, okay, how I used it as motivation then, and hearing my name called at that point, it was pretty awesome having an analyst think that I had a chance today. So I'm glad I've I've never been happier that someone was right.
You and me both, man. You and me both. But I guess Zach, you
I'll
have
take up
any
my
other questions, or do we want to ask if he has anyone who wants to shout out?
Yeah, I'll take up my L and walk right there. But yeah, Charles, man, it's been an up and down season for you. You know, you finished on the podium so many times. Like you said, you've been so close, but to finally get your breakout win tonight and right before the playoffs, where you are going to take a run to try and secure the College Cup Series championship this season. What does this mean for you momentum wise going into the playoffs?
Well, it's definitely a breather now knowing that um, this top step is possible because I've been obviously when you finish runner up, you'll get a number of times you'll get into doubts here and there, but I think this is obviously I'm going to celebrate tonight, but I can't celebrate too much. I gotta compete in eNASCAR College Series tomorrow, so I'll celebrate as much as I can a little bit tonight, but I can't celebrate too much because the playoffs are gonna start and it's a new season. You know, obviously the momentum will come with, but it scores what happened in the regular season. Right now, I have to push that aside. It's now a whole different season. The intensity is gonna ramp up. The pressure is gonna ramp up. The everything is now. It's now or never for everybody. So uh, it's great knowing that going into the playoffs, I know I've done this before. It's possible to do it again, and I'll use it as the mindset. Now knowing what I need to do, now knowing how to go about each race, now knowing how to complete from start to end. It's great knowing that what I dreamt was possible is possible now.
Well, you have done the possible. You are officially a Flexware College Cup Series winner here in the CIL. Congratulations again. But before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out while we've got you on the show?
Yes, Guilford College men's basketball team made the Final Four in NCAA Basketball Division III. So proud of those guys. So shout out to them. My family's watching. I can only imagine their emotions right now. All glory to God. Um, and everybody that supports the series, everybody, you guys for broadcasting, because I know it's not easy going week to week, doing this with the passion you guys have. Shout out to the guys at work for the tips that they give me, um, week in and week out. Um, Everybody that believed in me in days when I didn't, and I'm I'm just beyond belief right now. I still need a minute to let this sink in, but I'm I'm so out of this world right now.
Well, you're joining an elite club of collegiate sim racers who have won here in the series. But congratulations again. Go let it sink in. Go enjoy your evening, and best of luck in tomorrow's ENCIS race. Mom, Dad, your boy won a cup race.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.
You as well. And that is Charles Wimbley, Guilford College, the first time winner here for the Flexware College Cup Series. I mean, you could tell it was pretty evident how much that first win meant to him.
And I always love having first time winners here in the CIL because you get exactly that. You get the raw emotion, the combination of disbelief and, oh my gosh, what did I just do? But also the joy of securing that first checkered flag in a series that means so much for so many of our drivers. Well, let's go ahead and talk to our runner-up finisher tonight. If I could grab him and bring him in. There we go. Here we go. Runner-up finisher tonight from Ball State University, Daniel Nanny, locked in battle with Charles Wembley for a considerable portion of tonight's race and ultimately bringing it home second. Congratulations on your runner-up finish. What an insane drive out there tonight. We saw its ups and downs. We saw the penalty on the restart for the restart infraction about halfway through the race. Did you ever think that that was the end for you? Or did you know that you would come back and have another shot at the end?
Well, I was just hoping I could avoid all the chaos after getting that penalty. It was just, I knew it was going to be for a caution because that's just Bristol for you, and a lot of people don't really know how to drive the track. So, yeah, I was just hoping to avoid all the chaos, and I managed to make it up all the way up to fifth, I believe, before the final pit stop. So, I have faith in myself. I'm pretty good here, and being able to lead over 100 laps just tells you that I'm here to race for the win, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you had a really strong run today. Started up front, ran up front, got sent to the back, drove all the way back up to the front. Was there anything that you would change outside of the EOL? Anything that you would have changed with the way your race went tonight that may have had a opportunity to get you the win?
No, everything that did happen was out of my control with all the cautions near the end. If we would have had at least like an extra 15 laps of green flag racing, I would have had a shot at getting around him. I knew I was better than him in the long run, so if we would have had less cautions, I probably would be in a completely different situation right now.
Well, Daniel, you locked yourself into the playoffs a little while back, but this second place finish tonight is really going to bring some momentum to you. What's going to be your strategy as you look ahead into the playoff, try and take a shot at the Flexware College Cup Series championship?
Well, I'm just here to have fun and race, so I'm just hoping that the right track fall in order and my best track show up, and hopefully I can hold off Leaf and Morton. And I know the two of the favorites had they tied for the regular season championship. So yeah, I just hope that I can just be a factor there.
Well, congratulations again on such a great race tonight. You put on a great show out there. But before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
To shout out the Ball State guys for being there and supporting me for 8 weeks, and congrats to Leaf for being runner-up in the regular season championship, and I believe Andrew made it to the playoffs as well, so I'm proud of him. And I have to give a shout out to my parents for watching, even though they know I didn't really want to be here, but I have to support Ball State and I have to put on a show for everybody else. So yeah, that's about it.
Congratulations again, Daniel, and hopefully we'll see you back up here in the booth in the playoffs.
Thank you.
and was tonight's runner-up finisher from Ball State University, Daniel Nanny. And really, what a phenomenal battle between him and Wembley all race. I mean, they really both just dominated control of this event. And I really want to know what I really should have asked what the secret was to how they were getting around Bristol so quickly, because I am terrible at this track.
Yeah, I've acknowledged that I've been very bad at this track for a very long time, and I've just accepted that I'm much better suited to be talking about it up here with you than being down there on the track trying to not put it into the wall. But feels like it's a prime time to bring in our third place finisher as well. Good time probably to talk to the 519 of Zach DeWale.
Yeah, Zach.
Hey, there he is.
There we go. Zach, congratulations on your third place finish tonight. It was a really another up and down race for you. We saw all the chaos, all the confusion out there on track, but you navigated all the cautions and all the traffic and brought it home third. What was it like out there on track?
It was fun, honestly. I always love just getting to drive Bristol. It's honestly probably my favorite track in the sim. Don't get to run here often, but happy we could do it today. And yeah, it was chaos all night, which is expected when we bring this series to short track, especially one like Bristol. But everything went well, and luckily was able to keep it out of trouble for the most part and bring home a clean car at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, you had a pretty solid run. You were in the top 5 most of the evening, it felt like, but never really seemed like you had that last little bit to get up there and battle for the win. Was there anything holding you back tonight from getting up there, or was there just something off a little bit with the car tonight that was keeping you just a couple spots off the lead?
It's hard to say. I mean, those guys that were up front, like Matthew and excuse me, and Nanny and Charles, they were all really fast tonight. So I don't know if I had the speed to challenge them. I might have been equal speed wise, but I think in the end the track position was pretty important here. It's pretty hard to pass once we got some wear on the tires, especially up at the front. But yeah, part of it too was just wanted to stay out of trouble. It wasn't too tight for points for myself, but I didn't want to take the risk and get eliminated, making a dumb mistake trying to win the race. Obviously, it would have been nice to win, but take what you can get. We got a chance to go for a championship now.
Well, Zach, looking ahead to the playoffs, I do believe you have done enough, at least just off the finishing order tonight, to make the playoffs on points. So pending final confirmation of yes, you're in, I'm going to go ahead and say yes, you're in. So what does that mean for you that you're going to have another shot at the Flex Bear College Cup Series championship?
It's a nice reassurance after last season, because that didn't really go to plan. Had a lot of issues with equipment in real life, and just bad luck racing last season. Didn't even get to do the whole thing. So it's nice to have another shot at the title. And I feel pretty good about the playoff tracks. Darlington and Homestead are good tracks for me. I like place where you can run the top, and I know Kansas is pretty good. So I think if I can somehow work my way into the championship 4, then we should have a decent shot at it at this year, unless if I can stay out of my own way, that is.
Well, congratulations again on your third place finish tonight. While we've got you on the show, you know the drill. Anybody you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, for sure. Jordan, Emily, Riley, Trent, and Chloe watching at home. All the OWR guys for keeping me company during the race, and and all the CL guys for helping put on a good show.
Well, congratulations again, and thanks for joining us up here in the booth, and we'll see you in the playoffs.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
And those are our top 3 finishers tonight from Bristol Motor Speedway. Alex, And producer Christian, what would you like to do first? Would you like to do our final results, or do you want to go ahead and crown our regular season champion? All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at our final results from tonight's Bucky's Bristol Bash 200 presented by ETSU eSports. And then we're going to get into the stuff that people really came for. So take it away, Alex.
So Charles Wimbley picks up the victory for Guilford College. Great win for him. First victory for Guilford College as well here in the Flexware College Cup Series. Daniel Nanny and Zach DeWale we just talked to, finishing second and third. Our Muhammad Alif had a really strong run tonight for Ball State. He brings it home fourth place, just ahead of Jason Wallet for Drexel. He's another guy who really needed a good points run tonight, and he got it with that top 5 finish. Our hosts this evening of ETSU, Matt Burton, qualified fourth and stayed in that top 6-7 cars all night long, and he brings that 33 home in sixth. A great run for Burton. Ricky Paz for Valparaiso University in seventh. Matt Nordberg had to go from the back to the front again, but he brings it home 8th place there for NC State. Brandon Schulenberger, did he do enough to make his way into the playoffs here? That 9th place finish will get him a lot of points. However, we'll find out in just a minute here if that was enough for him to qualify. And then Andrew Stagey, 10th there for Ball State. Another third Ball State car in the top 10 here, and I do believe the 88 got a good bit of points toward his hunt to try and make the playoffs as well.
Looking at our second group of 10 cars here, P11 goes to Timothy Williams and Drexel University. Good finish for that 86 car. Andrew Williams will finish P12 for Clemson. Did he do enough to secure the spot in the playoffs? We'll find out in just a couple moments. Landon Velicky from Auburn University will finish P13. Matthew Morton recovers from a late race incident and will finish 14th for Ohio State University. P15 goes to Logan Smith from Auburn. P16, number 2, Kelton Quick from Ball State University. Baruch College's Edward Sanchez will finish as the last car on the lead lap in P17. P18 goes to Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte, who pretty much locked himself into the playoffs by virtue of showing up to tonight's race. Nick Stockner from Clemson will finish 19th, and rounding out the top 27 laps down is Lucas Moody from Ball State University.
And looking at the rest of our field here, Andrew Burrell finishes 21st for Clemson, Michael Sidor 22nd for PCT, Wingate's Jake Cummings in 23rd, Ryan Whitlock for the University of Alabama Huntsville, 13 laps down, 24th, not the run he was hoping for tonight. Austin DeLong there in 25th for Penn College of Technology, Ben Neller 26th for Ball State, Sky Schreck for the University of Oklahoma 27th. Zachary Tallman from PCT in 28th, just ahead of Edwin Onofre from North Texas, and Ethan Decatur from Valparaiso, with our 31st and final car this evening being, I believe, the 808 of Dylan Godinez. Yes. So, those were our 31 finishers. Now, we saw that Alif finished 4th and Matt Morton finished 14th. The gap, if I'm correct, was 10 points coming into tonight's race. They will have tied for the regular season championship on points. Zach, who wins the count back, though?
So, Alif and Morton tied on points for the regular season championship. The first count back is wins. And Matthew Morton's 4 to Alif's 2 means that Matthew Morton, you are officially the Season 10 Flexware College Cup Series regular season champion. You're going to take home that trophy for both you and Ohio State, as well as get 15 bonus points going into the playoffs. So that's going to give you a very, very sizable playoff point total as we head into the playoffs next week. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, the playoff points are going to help a lot, obviously. Having that extra cushion, won't have to stress too much going in the first race. So it's nice to win the regular season championship on a great regular season.
Yeah, I mean, the 4 wins speak for themselves. The 15 extra points going to be a really big addition for you. And looking ahead, it's a lot of 1.5 miles here for this playoff round. Darlington is in there. I know Miami's in there. And I do believe it's Nashville that splits the difference between the two of them. So a lot of cars in that, a lot of tracks in that 1.5 mile range. How do you feel on those tracks coming into it? knowing that a lot of those tracks are the same type. Is that a kind of track that fits in your wheelhouse, or do you have any concerns about it?
Yeah, I think I feel pretty comfortable heading into the playoff races. Mile and a half seem to be my strong suit in this league. I can really just manage the tires and track position battle throughout the entire runs at mile and a halfs more than I can anywhere else, and I feel like I have more control in my positioning there as well. So I think having those mile and a halfs in the playoffs will really suit me and hopefully get myself a spot in that championship.
Well, Matt, congratulations on the regular season championship. That's one trophy down, one to go for you and Ohio State in your title defense here in the Flexware College Cup Series. Congratulations on your regular season championship. Came down to the very last lap of our first 10 races of the season, but we're looking forward to seeing how you and Alif both continue your rivalry into the playoffs. But while we've got you on the show, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
I'd like to thank you guys for putting this show on. It's awesome to be a part of it and be able to go back and watch the broadcasts. Super fun to have a league like that. Just a really fun experience for racing in it too. Like to shout out my parents and grandparents for watching. Again, awesome to see the support in something I do as a hobby. So it's just awesome that they invest in something that I like doing. Like to shout out. I had a spotter tonight because he had his schedule freed up. I had Matt O'Brien on the spotter stand tonight, help me out with that strategy late to take the lead and really just give myself a good position. But unfortunately, things didn't work out towards the end. But yeah, just really appreciate everybody helping me out and get to where I am right now.
Well, congratulations again on your regular season title, Matt. We will see you in the playoffs.
Thank you guys. Go Bucks.
And when there is a champion, there is a runner-up. Our Muhammad Alif, the regular season championship runner-up by virtue of countback on wins. It was an insane fight that went up to the very last lap of the regular season. Congratulations on a phenomenal regular season. That runner-up finish. Surely now you have to turn your attention to the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's going to be the ultimate goal, to try to get into the Final Four and then try to clinch the championship. So yeah, happy for that. Happy for the team. We've got 3 drivers into the top 10. So yeah, we're gonna be pushing hard for the next few.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you about that. With 3 Ball State drivers in the playoffs here moving forward, at least that is what we believe. What is the approach for you guys going through these mile and a half tracks? Obviously, while all 3 of you guys are very talented, it feels like your skill sets complement different tracks and different styles of racing. What is going to be the plan to try and get 3 Cardinals through to the final round?
I hope you guys will get to see that in a week's time. Well, yeah, there's hopefully, yeah, you guys know the drill. Yeah, we aren't really gonna give you exactly what we're gonna do, but hope it's gonna be a good show and good battle. With the other 10, very talented field, I'd say. So as you saw today, I mean, Charles Wimbley, one of the drivers who are very talented. So yeah, we'll try to give the rest a run for their money and try to clinch the championship.
Yeah, it's. I figured that might have been the answer, but I felt like I should at least ask to see if it would be any different this
Yeah.
time around. But I totally understand.
Try it, yeah. Yep.
Well, congratulations on a great regular season. This seems to be really one of your strengths here in the Cup Series, is doing exactly what you need to do to get to the next step. And we're looking forward to seeing how you progress in the playoffs. Best of luck to you and your teammates in the next few rounds as you go pursue your first Flexware College Cup Series championship. But before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, the whole Oval team, I'd say, Andrew, Lucas, Kelton, Ben, for all their hard work. I think we've progressed very well from the beginning. We used to have either only one driver, or we never had one into the playoffs, but now we have 3. So I think that's just a testament of where this program is going. So big shout out to them. Big shout out to Dan BK, who's our directors and assistant directors, and Dean Turner for all her support. And big shout out to my family back in Singapore. So
Yep. Congratulations again, Leaf, and we'll see you in the playoffs.
thank you. See you guys.
That was our regular season runner-up finisher overall, Muhammad Alif. I believe that is the second season in a row that he has finished runner-up in the regular season championship. So he's definitely going to be hungry for more. Second and three. Sorry, excuse
Remember,
me.
he just missed out on the playoffs last year.
That's correct.
Because he ran the kind of partial schedule, 2/3, 3/4, something like that. But yeah, no, he's come close a couple of times now, and now he'll have the opportunity to,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time to officially announce our Season 10 Flexware College Cup Series playoff drivers. Of course, your regular season champion from Ohio State University, Matthew Morton. From Ball State University, Muhammad Alif and Daniel Nanny. From Wingate University, Jake Cummings. Ooh, let me scroll down here. From Guilford College, Charles Wembley. Those are your 5 winners this season. And now we get to the big ones. Who is going to make the playoffs off of points? From St. Clair College, Zach DeWale in the 519. From Ball State University, Andrew Stagey in the 88 car. There are 3 Ball State cars. From Clemson University, Andrew Williams has done enough for the 123 machine. He makes the playoffs. From UNC Charlotte, Clint Halterman in the 077. And your final playoff driver who will be competing for a title this season, from Drexel University, the 76 of Jason Wallet. And there you have it, folks. Those are the 10 drivers that stand out among the rest and will be competing for the Flexware College Cup Series Championship. And Alex, I don't see an undeserving name in that roster.
That's a strong group of drivers there. I mean, you think about the 2 who must have missed out then, because there was 2 on the outside looking in to start today. It was Williams and Schulenberger. Now the 2 on the outside at the end of it is going to be Whitlock and Schulenberger. So Drew Williams jumps Ryan Whitlock in the points here in the season finale to take away that final playoff spot from him. Tough break there for the 81. I mean, he's had a really good season, just wasn't his night tonight at Bristol, and ultimately he's going to fall just short of making the postseason. But I mean, you name the list that you do. The 5 winners, I mean, winning a race in this series is so incredibly tough. And all 5 of them very deserving winners to qualify and make the postseason. And then you look at the 5 guys who made it in on points. I mean, people who just keep so close on the podium, second, third, top 5 after top 5, just haven't broken through for that victory. But yeah, no, that's a really strong group of 10 drivers, and a very interesting group, I feel like, when considering we have 3.5 mile adjacent tracks here for the playoff round, and then the championship also being at Kansas. I mean, I think you're going to be having whoever can crush that 1.5 mile setup, they're going to have the best chance. But it also means all of these drivers know exactly what to prepare for. You don't have to try and pick one or the other or pick your spot. Go out there, get the 1.5 mile system locked down, and you're going to have good chances out there. But everyone's going to be doing the same, so it's going to be really tough competition, I feel like.
Yeah, and especially in the playoff system, this is a championship system that really rewards consistency. These drivers, like you said, have been the most consistent all year. They're the ones who always find the top 10 and the top 5 on track and in the results. But like you said, the guys who pointed their way in, it's just they can't find victory lane because it's so competitive at the front of the field. But I think I speak on behalf of all of CIL Nation when I say that this is going to be one of the best playoff stints that we've had in the entire history of the Flexware College Cup Series. And I am looking forward to the next 3 races. Well, 10 rounds and 1,700 miles of racing are behind us. We have crowned our regular season champion, as well as found out who our Season 10 Flexware College Cup Series playoff drivers are. Nanny, Morton, Alif, DeWale, Cummings, Wembley, Stagey, Williams, Halterman, and Wallet. Well, there you have it, folks. Our playoff drivers for Season 10 of the Flexware College Cup Series. 10 rounds of the regular season are done and dusted, and we only have 4 more races to go this season. The next 3 rounds are the playoff rounds, where our playoff drivers will be contending for a chance to make the coveted Championship 4 for our season finale at Kansas Motor Speedway. But before that, we've got races at Darlington, Nashville, and Homestead, Miami. And it's the same rules as before. If you're a playoff driver and you win one of the next 3 races, then you're locked in and you're going racing for the title in Kansas. And the playoffs kick off next Monday night with our Southern 200 from Darlington Raceway. It's gearing up to be an instant CIL classic as the Lady in Black never disappoints. Who's going to be the first driver to find themselves into the Championship 4? And who will maybe start off the second step of their title campaign off on the wrong foot? It's the Southern 200 from Darlington Raceway next Monday night at 8:50 Eastern, with our Ignition Zone playoff pre-race show kicking off at 8:30 live here on CIL Vision. And if you're like me and you can't wait for more CIL action, we're headed back overseas in Formula C for our Formula C's Get Degrees Spanish Grand Prix. The legendary Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya returns. Ball State driver Cale Davidson attempts to chase down his teammate Mohamed Alif for the championship as the battle for P3 between Cohen Evans, Lucas Moody, and Bradley Skinker heats up. Who will triumph in Barcelona? Find out this Wednesday night at 8:45 Eastern. And the action continues on Thursday night as the Collegiate Prototype Challenge gears up for our 3rd endurance race of the season. After a phenomenal finish in the prototype class of the 12 Hours of Sebring last Saturday, our CPC drivers have been inspired to try and outdo what they saw on TV. It's the 90 minutes of Sebring from, I'll let you figure out where we're racing from, but more points are up for grabs this Thursday, so expect a great race with plenty of shenanigans on track and from the booth, live here at 8:45 Eastern here on CIL Vision. And I believe that is going to do it for all of us tonight. So on behalf of myself, co-commentator Alex, and producer Christian, and all of us here at the CIL, we'd like to congratulate tonight's race winner, Charles Wembley, as well as all of our drivers who have made the playoffs. And thank you all as well for tuning in to tonight's Bucky's Bristol Bash 200 presented by East Tennessee State University eSports. And until next time, stay fast.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.